Are you gonna listen to the move?
I've been out the loop since '09.
Yeah, I'll be back to get at that, though.
Check this. I'm at the motherfucking house last night. Guess what the fuck I see?
What you see?
Shamika, what's up?
Fuck you think you fucking with? It's Maxwell, bitch.
Fuck you in them shoes.
Bitch, I'm about to stalk you with these shoes.
I thought I told you to get a jump to Crazy D.
I did give it to Crazy D. You know D, you must have seen money in that. You know he used to produce those nudie DVDs.
Fuck you, thin man. I know you did it.
Don't let your mouth write a check, cause I will take it out on your ass. Damn, man. You serious?
I don't appreciate being roughed up by men, or should I say male bitches.
Yeah, you gonna work out.
And we look for young ladies like you to host them.
I look like somebody that can host your videos.
That's right. So go change, cause we ain't got all day.
Get off the house.
Really good, though. I'm doing that bullshit.
Crazy. What the hell? How you in my room?
Film review, movies, music, culture, politics, society podcast, interviews, movie reviews, and more. Live Sundays at 5:30 p.m. on the Film Review Live channel. Subscribe.
Hi, this is Bernadette Stanis, Thelma from Good Times, and you're watching the Film Review.
What's going on, people? How you feeling? How you doing? This is another great episode of TFR Podcast Live. That's right. TFR Podcast Live.
Yeah.
We have a jam-packed show. We are streaming, simulcasting live on Periscope, on Vimeo, on FB, on all of the film review groups and pages, and on Crazon Dion, also on Tracy Latrice. Also, we're on YouTube. The Film Review Live channel. Right now, we are streaming live. Go there, type in TFR Podcast Live episode 130, and you will see us there, right? Let me bring this in real quick. That's right, we are episode 130. Can you believe it? 130 episodes already, right? So we are streaming live. We have the chat open so we can get your comments. We have the chat open on FB so we can get your comments. And of course, 213-943-3358 is 213-943-3358, right? And then don't forget our Cash App, $TFR Podcast Live, $TFR Podcast Live, to drop a few dollars on it. You like what we're talking about, you like what you're hearing, you know that you got to drop a few dollars so we can keep this coming to you, because we have information about movies, music, culture, politics, and society, how movies and music reflect the culture and politics in the society. That's right. Brought to you by, of course, Crazy D's greatest film, Back in Cleveland. That's right. Featuring MCs and talent from Cleveland, Ohio, one of the most dramatic and hilarious films without the buffoonery, right? Straight to the point, entertaining. You can go right over to lordlandfilms.com after the show is over and download the boy for $2.99, or you can order the hard copy and we'll get it out to you ASAP, right? So without further ado, moving the show along, we need to, of course, ask, like I always ask, every single week. That's right, every single week we always ask the same question to my lovely co-host, my wife, Tracy, which is, how was your, let me bring it up. It's playing with me. There it is. How was your week? How was your week?
It was a pretty good week, right? Pretty laid back. Other than the same old in the news.
Same old in the news, right? Except for, we've been dropping knowledge on a brand new edition of #TFR, right? We've been dropping information on that, and so let me tell you about that. That is entitled #TFR Podcast Live OB. That's observations. Let me bring that up real quick. We are on 13 episodes, right? 13 episodes, and that is hosted by yours truly, Crazy D, and my sister, Tanya M. Congress. That's right. Every Monday through Friday, we bring you observations, right? 13 episodes. We just had the transition episode, right? Where we talked about the World Trade, September 11th. That was Friday. We come on Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, and we drop straight information out to you, because education is about an organized space that informs and teaches so that the natural abilities and the strengths and the talent of the person can come forth from out of them. We're bringing information so you can build your mind state and get off of that hamster wheel we always talk about, which is part of the mindset, training you just to drone around. 213-943-3358. That's the hotline to call in, to chime in and let your voice be heard on the show. Of course, people, let me say this before we continue. We are celebrating our 130th show, right?
Time flies.
130th show. Look at all. This isn't all the covers all the ads for every show. But
Wow.
look at that. And you can hear the replay of us on iHeartRadio.
Yep.
That's right. You go to Google and you hashtag TFR Podcast Live, iHeartRadio, and all the episodes come up. And if that is your favorite podcast provider, you can listen to us there. But of course, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, you name, you just go to the search and Google search and you type in hashtag TFR Podcast Live, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast provider, and all the episodes come up because we've been putting work in, right? And that's what we do. We make sure that we deliver and bring forth what we say we're going to do. Okay, people, so I saw some memes today, so we're going to start in with the memes, right? So, you know who this guy is, right? You know who this guy is, right? Of course you know who this guy is. This guy is no mystery to you. He is called...
Oscar.
Oscar, that's right. He's called Oscar, right? And Oscar is going through some changes. The Academy is going through some changes, right? They just came out, they announced a woke system of doing films. Now, I don't know what you think about this so-called woke production of films, or how you would go about promoting films, right? What's going on in Tanya M. Congress? She's chatting in. Which format is best for me to be on? Let's see, the best format will probably be is to call in, because I didn't set up for the live setup. Link gave me issues getting on. Wrong one. You have to call in to the 213-943-3358 to come on there, because I did not set up the live sync for the camera for the people to come in, right? So we want to say that straight off. Right? So the best way to connect is the 213-943-3358. Okay, people. So Oscar is making some changes, right? So I don't know what you think about the changes that Oscar is doing, but you have to have at least 2 out of 4 of the regulations in your film to even be considered to for the Academy Awards.
Okay, so my question to you is, because I looked at the criteria, I read it. And after I read it, what did I say to you? I said, well, you see that now anyway? Like in the film, you're going to see a woman, right? Okay. So, you'll see Caucasians in the film, or you'll see an Asian, or you'll see a Latino, or you'll see a black person.
You have to have at least 2 of this or that.
No, but then, okay, so one is already crossed out, because you can have a woman. It doesn't matter what race, right? So you have a woman, right? So then it said lead or supporting.
Right.
Right? So in the supporting cast, you're going to at least see at least one, like a black or Asian or Latino person. I mean, we see this already, right? I mean, I don't know. Okay, so I see the criteria, right? So a big deal is made out of the criteria. And the criteria, I kind of basically see that anyway. They could play around with that actually, the way they do today. So, I mean, that's...
So they say they have to have behind the scenes people, right? And my thing is, what if it's a film where, unless they're saying that the films that we have seen, black people were always around, even in films like war films, where the the units were segregated,
Okay.
but you better have a black person floating through there somewhere. If you're in Africa making a film about it being in Africa,
Okay.
you better be seeing more than just the apes. You better see some Africans, and they best have some pertinent roles in it, right?
Okay.
Is that what they're saying?
Well, they didn't say pertinent roles.
Oh, they have to be in there, right? They have to have
Well,
some
you
speaking
can't
roles,
have
right?
somebody in the background. I mean, we see this already.
Yeah, but I don't think that's what they want. They don't want people just
I
in
mean,
the background.
I understand that, but I'm just saying what they could do. They can say, well, we met the criteria because we had such and such and such and such in it. So
I don't know.
that, I mean, you know, but what I've lost my thought. But anyway, so.
All right, the phone lines are on for sure.
Yeah.
So look.
So, I mean,
my thought on it is, this is like one of the writers, you know, who I don't necessarily agree with their wording or their verbiage of how they described it, but it is a quota system, right? It is a quota system, and I don't necessarily appreciate it being a quota system. Just put good films in that usually wouldn't be in there.
Right.
If it's going to be, you don't have to have. If it's a film about Victorian whatever, you know the only time that you're going to see some black people in it is if they are the butlers or if they are the footmen or such and such and such. So, you know, we not necessarily want to see that. Just put in films that you usually wouldn't put in.
Right.
Because culturally, your blindness makes you biased. So put in films that usually wouldn't be in there. And then it'll be an even academy. Quality films. Films that represent film grammar, the use of angles, lighting, put those in there, wardrobe, put those in there, and get people in the academy.
See, that's what I was going to say.
Who are voting. Who understand varying cultures.
See, see, what you said is what I was thinking. Because I had lost my thought for a moment, but you reminded me that's what I was going to say. So when I saw that criteria, I was just thinking, okay, come on now. All you need to do is, like you said, make it like diverse. The people who watch the films and vote, make that committee diverse. Like it doesn't matter this criteria that they have, and you have to have such and such this and that, and you know, and then they had it said Asian, it said Latino, it said Black, Indigenous people, they had the LGBTQ plus, you know, and I looked at the criteria, but when I was looking at that, I was just like, why don't you just overall make the voters, the board, you need diversity in it.
What's going on, Peter?
That's all you
Gaudre.
Hello.
He, you know, forgotten not gone.
Oh,
forgotten not gone. You know, we see what you're doing out there, Peter. We see what you're doing out there,
and
Peter.
Kelly.
Congratulations to all your success.
Yeah. And hi to Kelly.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yo, people, the next meme leads into what we're going to be talking about tonight, which is this pedophile. It feels kind of pedophilic film that's on Netflix, but the deepest sin against the human mind is to believe things without evidence, right? And the greatest reality, or the greatest reality that sin has affected you, is that when you get the evidence, you refuse to listen to the evidence. And why do you refuse to listen to the evidence goes into the next meme that we have, which is this one right here. This is a scene from a movie, and it says, fact checker, facts. See, many times the fact checkers, when they're checking facts, they're often killing off the facts so that your mind will not be able to get an opportunity to even process the facts or give information, right? Now, this is a new feature that we're going to be doing in the future, right? Talking about our Instagram presence, which is Crazy D Film Dude and Film Girl for Life, right? So we did the review last week on Storm Over Brooklyn. Storm Over Brooklyn, you know, is the story about Yusef Hawkins and Bensonhurst and how he and his friends went to look at a car. Actually, he went with his friend to look at a car. Somehow he winds up being shot twice and being murdered, and it goes into the whole thing. However, Victorious was here, said thank you, and they went at Storm Over Brooklyn, the creators of it, and put the red, black, and green hearts. And then later down the line, you see that Storm Over Brooklyn, the creators came in and liked the clip that we have, because we put audio clips of our reviews up on Crazy D Film Dude on the IG, the Crazy D Film Dude IG channel. The Crazy D Film Dude IG channel has totally different situations going on it than the YouTube, right? Similar, but not all the same. We got some things going on. That channel is going to town on Crazy D Film Dude. So what's up to the people who created, the producers, and HBO, and all the people that are watching us? And we appreciate you over there at Storm Over Brooklyn, HBO. And what's up to Victorious was here. We appreciate you for shouting us out and making the connection to us with HBO and the producers of that dope documentary, right? Now, another meme that we saw as we move along is one called This Says, most people never heal because they say they stay in their heads, replaying corrupted scenarios. Let it go. If someone has hurt you in the past, has done wrong to you, make sure that you do not dwell on it and let it go. These are good memes. These are my memes, because as we get into what we're talking about, let's see what Tanya Conger says. I can't stand this pedophile stuff. I'm going in hard on them. If I find that anybody I know is a pedophile, it's a wrap. They will gladly confess, even if within the statute of limitations. When I am done, everybody go to all the places they are mentioning. That's right. What's going on to Mello? I see he's watching us right now. Listen, let it go. Because what's you're holding on to the corrupted scenario, and those people that went on living their lives, doing whatever they want to do, and that's what they do, right? So look, people, this one comes from our friends over at, what's the name of that place? You see it right there. What's the name of that?
Let's see.
Right there in the corner. You know, that's our people over at you know,
the screen is so far.
It's so far back, right? Let me bring it up closer. You see the logo here. See, that's what we have trouble with, because it's so small right
so
there.
Small.
You see?
Okay, Texas.
Right here.
Oh, Hollywood Unlocked.
Hollywood Unlocked.
Yes,
that's right.
Jason
It comes
Lee.
from Jason Lee. It comes from our Jason Lee. This was funny, so I decided that I would put this down. Y'all pray for my cousin. She just found out her sugar daddy was her biological father.
Gosh. Pray for her.
What would you believe? Like, what would you do if you found out that your sugar daddy or your sugar mama was your biological parent? what would you do? 213-943-3358. Now, people, we're getting ready to have the rubber hit the road here, right? We're getting ready to have the rubber hit the road, but we have to come into something that we said that we were going to talk about on Friday's show of hashtag TFR Podcast Live OB. That's hashtag TFR Podcast Live OB. And that is the 7, right? The 7. Now, do you know, people, who these 7 people are? Let me move this over a little bit so this can be clear for people to see all 7. Right, there we go. Okay, so all 7. Do you know who these 7 are? Do you know who Clara Kleber and her 6 compatriots are? Some say that they are calling themselves the New Black Panther Party, but I thought that they were calling themselves the New Abolitionist Party.
That's more fitting.
Right? The New Abolitionist Party. That's what I thought that they were calling themselves, right? So, these people are out there doing these crimes against property in America, right? And we've been talking about, which I do believe we have my sister on the line. We're going to bring her up in a second, right? But we've been talking on hashtag TFR Podcast Live OB. That's observations by yours truly, Crazy D, and my guest host, special guest host, Tanya M. Congress. Let me bring her in right now. Tanya, are you there? Are you there, Tanya?
Yes, I am here. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can. Okay, so Monday through Friday, people, from 9:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Eastern, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, it is myself and my sister, and we discuss facts. We drop information because information is power, and when you have information, it makes you strong, it makes you educated, and you're able to bring forth your gifts and your strengths and your ability and your ideas to make things better. And we just went through these last 13 episodes, the last 3 out of the 13, going over definitions, going over what a Marxist is, going over what liberalism is, what life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is, and what these 7 people who consider themselves anarchists were doing. What you got to say to that, Tanya, real quick?
I can't wait to hear the rest of what y'all have to say about these 7 people, because I was when we were doing the broadcast, I was like, okay, I'm waiting to see what they're going to bring out on these people. But you mentioned that they are new abolitionists. Now, I have problems with that because the abolitionists believe that slavery was a national sin and that it was the moral obligation of every American to help eradicate it from American landscape by gradually freeing the slaves and returning them to Africa. So that is per Google. I looked that up per Google, and that's what it said. The abolitionists believed that that slavery was a national sin. Now, these people have ceased to, or not ceased to, they've never begun to mention slavery in any way, nothing about Black Americans or anything. They're just on their own thing. So for them to, I hope they're not labeling themselves abolitionists, because that would be, nothing could be further from the truth. With that, they haven't said anything about American Black people. They're just out there destroying stuff and doing their own thing under the guise of abolitions.
Right. That's right. Exactly. Yep. So look, so let's go over some of these names here. Okay, Clara Kleber, her parents, one of her parents is an architect, the other parent is a psychiatrist. Okay. For some reason, while her father is building infrastructure.
Okay.
She wants to destroy infrastructure.
Yeah.
While her mother is a psychiatrist,
Right.
somewhere they misdiagnosed her and thought that she was normal, right? Frank Furmister, right? He's 30. Now, Claire is 20. He's 30, right? He's an art director, right? He's had such clients as Samsung, Joe Coffee, and Pepsi. Designing ad campaigns for him, and this dude, now I don't know, they're not really going through and exactly showing you who's who, right? Number 3 is Addie Skrogorvik, 20. These are ethnics, meaning they are immigrants. They might be first, second to fifth immigrants, and we told you that. And as I researched this, I said, hey, what can we say? You have to watch #TFR Podcast Live OB Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, or watch the replays, right? The replays are on Apple Podcasts, right? He is a student, she's a student at Sarah Lawrence College, right? She lost her phone.
Who is that? Is that number 1?
No, that's number 3. Number 3. Idy Skrgovic. She's 20.
The one that looks Chinese?
No, I don't know who, because they're not being specific. They put the picture up there, but they're not like singling each one of them out by putting their picture by the names. So they're not saying. But she lost her phone during one of the protests. She called her mother. Her mother is Jacobovich or something, right? She has a totally different name, which means that it seems as if there's a divorce or something, or maybe, in my opinion, maybe some illegitimacy there. And so maybe she was never married, but she tried to send her kid through school, and her mother was nonchalant about it in that report. She says, hey, I thought that sooner or later she would get arrested or something, and this is better than her being killed, because I thought she could get killed out there. I replaced the phone. But anyway, Clara Severine, 27. Number 4 is Claire Severine, 27. She lives in Washington Heights, right? She's a signed model. Now, we know for sure who she is, because she's the one down here on the left side. She's a signed model. And we asked you on the show on Friday, does she look like a model? She might have just had a bad mug shot, huh? Other than that, she's just got plumpy lips, and she's a Kardashian any other times. Hi, if you think that looks good, let me vomit on your face. But anyway, look. Atkar Surrett, 27. Atkar Surrett. Now, does that sound like a ethnic name to you, Tanya? Atkar Surrett.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it sounds like an immigrant. And these people are chanting death to America, right? He's 27, right? He would summer in Europe every summer. He would summer in Europe. He lives in Prospect South Apartments. Now, that's upper echelon. That's up, right? Elliot Rocca.
Is that Lars? Is that the one I call Lars?
I don't know. See, they're not putting the pictures next to the names, right? So I can't be sure. But Acker Charette, it could be. That's what it sounds like, right? Elliot Rucker, 20.
Give me the spelling of Acker Charette.
It is ETKARSURETTE. And then Elliot Rucker, 20, from Portland, Oregon, y'all. What's happening in Portland right now? They're on fire everywhere. California, wildfires. Oregon. They think it's gonna move up to Washington State and burn all that up. Like all this is happening all at once.
And the tropical storms.
And the tropical storms, but the governments are not calling for federal assistance. What is going on? All right. So Elliot Rucker, son of famed comic book writer Greg Rucker, and Jennifer Van Meter. All these names sound ethnic, right? His father produced the comic book called The Old Guard, and now it's a Netflix film on Netflix starring our least favorite actress. What is her name?
With Charlize Theron.
Charlize Theron. That's right. You know the one.
Oh my goodness, are you kidding me?
And so we're tying all this in tonight because people will say, what does this have to do with our topic? Cuties, Netflix, pedophilia, or social commentary. They would ask, what does this have to do with our topic tonight, right? But we refuse to watch that movie, and anyone who watched that movie, you are there helping. What is her name one more time? Charlize.
I'm like
at a blank.
I don't know that.
I don't know that name. She has
way too much for me. This is way too much.
She has two sons. She has two sons who, when they got a certain age, they told her that they felt like they were girls. Not two Caucasian sons. She has two adopted black children. Yeah. Can you watch your children, people?
Adopted from Africa.
Adopted from Africa. And what is Charlize Theron?
What, South African?
South African. What was happening? Charlize Theron is a woman of a certain age, which means that she would have seen the fall of apartheid, right? And which side of apartheid, what is her family, and what did they believe about apartheid in South Africa, and who actually owns the land in South Africa? So we have to look at that. So she got two sons, and somehow, allegedly, they decided
they're her two daughters.
They decided that they felt more like girls, and she dresses them like girls. Go look at the pictures, people. Can you see the connection of what's going on here with this anarchy wanting to collapse the state? We talked about it. Episode 13 of #TFR Podcast Live OB drops the information that you need to know. Make sure you listen all the way to the end because it comes concise and we break it down to you so that you understand it. What does all this have in common with the Cuties film tonight that we're going to be reviewing, right? And he also has a show on ABC called Stumptown, which we didn't watch that show because to me, the lead woman on the show, she seemed kind of masculine. And I was like, I'm not watching that show. And she's supposed to have a love. And I didn't get it. It didn't look right. So Elliot Rucker, he's got a father that writes crime dramas, and he's out there in crime comic books, has programming on Netflix and ABC, and he's out there destroying, talking about death to America. And number 7, whoever he is up here, is nameless. The article did not name number 7, and we're trying to figure out why they didn't name number 7. Is he some kind of diplomat's child? We just have speculation to know. So what do you have to say before we move on and get going on with the show, Tanya? What else you got to say real quick?
I'm gonna say this and get out of the way. It would seem that this homosexual agenda, and let me preface what I'm gonna say by saying, I nor you guys hate any particular group of people. People do what they do. So understand that. For those who will want to, edit and clip the broadcast or whatever, if we were we would be more than capable of standing up and saying what it was if that were the case. But we don't hate anyone. Live and let live is our philosophy. Everybody has to answer to God for themselves. All right? But there's an agenda here. And frankly, I'm tired of seeing it because it doesn't need to be that way. You know, if you're going to have heterosexuals, there's homosexuals, there's pansexuals, there's every doggone thing these days. All right? So the thing is, there's an agenda, and this agenda is being pushed and it's being hidden behind other names. So even with this group of people, whatever they call themselves, abolitionists, new abolitionists, whatever, when you look at them, the 7 of them, it's confusing as to which way they're going, number one. Number two, a lot of them are masquerading, wearing masks and stuff. So if you're comfortable on who you are, why are you masking yourself? Why, if any of them are listening, if you're going to do what you do, don't be a jellyback about it. Have your face open. Right? Yeah. So this is, it's an agenda that's being pushed forward. And what we have to figure out, or what I'm trying to figure out, is why there is such a focus on this particular agenda to the point where they're hiding behind other causes, other names, other groups, in order to advance their, their agenda. Right. And it's really ridiculous. If you're gonna be out and you're gonna do what you do, then do what you do and do it out. Right. Don't hide behind anything else. Right. And this is what I'm seeing, particularly with those 7 group of people who are privileged, confused. They need FANAP, and we make jokes about FANAP being a schizophrenic drug, but all of them need that because apparently they are not comfortable in who they are, else they wouldn't be masking themselves. So I could go on with this, but I'm not. But that's all I wanted to say at this point. Oh, and one more thing: that first person with the red hair that was on the 7 pictures that we showed on Friday.
That Clara.
Clara. Her last name was Cripper.
Creeper.
Cripper.
Yeah.
Cripper.
Yeah.
So Cripper historically evolved as a way to sort people into groups by occupation and place of origin, clan affiliation, patronage, parentage, adoption, and even physical characteristics like red hair. She had red hair. Many of the modern surnames in the dictionary can be traced back to Britain and Ireland. So just like the others, immigrant is what her background is, and that's what her name means. That's the Cripper family history description. What I just read.
Wow. That's something else.
That is.
Isn't that something? Yeah. Isn't that so specific?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very.
Yeah.
That is incredible. So Monday at 9:30 a.m., 12:30 p.m. Eastern, 9:30 a.m. Pacific. Yeah. We have our show.
Yes.
And we will see you. We will talk
to you. Don't go yet, Tanya, because I was thinking the same thing. Like about the facial covering and, with the mask and with the all black. And because I'm telling you, if I was out there marching and the person next to me is all covered up, I would look at them like, okay, why aren't you showing your face? Like, so clearly they're up to something. So I would in no shape or form be comfortable protesting. And this person beside me is like all covered up, and I mean, I don't know. It'd be a red flag for me.
Here's my thing. The black people that are out there, the few that, because the media is not showing the black people, but there are some black people, because I just seen it in another clip that I saw today. Listen, I'm going to be out there saying, take that mask off your face or take BLM off your words.
Right.
I'm one or the other.
Right.
One or the other, because you're not saying where is your advocacy of black causes while you saying BLM. No.
Right.
You're going to have to drop that, and you're going to have to drop it right now. Nobody's challenging it.
Right. Because the Klan, they cover their face. I mean, that's just like the Ku Klux Klan. They cover their face.
And you don't know if they are anarchists or white nationalists, accelerationists. Both want to see the state fall. The accelerationists, which are white nationals, want to see an ethno state after it falls. The anarchists, who knows what they want to see, but neither side, we know definitely not the white supremacist side, and neither their side either says anything about where American blacks will be, and we're in the middle, and we're out there marching with these clowns. In my opinion, they're clowns. Make sure you watch episode 13 of hashtag TFR Podcast Live OB on the Film Review Life channel. What you want to say on the way out, Tanya?
That's all I wanted to say, y'all. I mean, this is incredible. This is so incredible. Now, you know when I'm at a loss for words, it's pretty serious. Because I always have some words. But this is absolutely incredible. It's inarticulable. I don't have nothing else to say right now.
All right, so stay tuned because we're getting ready to get into this Cuties film where is it pedophilia or a social commentary. So we'll be talking. I hear from you on Monday.
Okay, all right. I'll be listening, y'all.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, people. So listen, let's get to this. Let's get to the topic of one of the topics of the evening. But the first review of the evening is Cuties. It debuted on Netflix on September 9th, right? September 9th it debuted, right? It's directed by Mamanua Dakora. She's got a funny name. She comes from Senegal. You know, I'm calling it funny, but it's Mamanua Dakora, right? She is from Senegalese. She has a Senegalese origin, right? Living in Paris, France. In the film festival scene, the film received much praise. Cuties received much praise. Once put into the global platform already, Dakora began to receive death threats, right? Cuties. Dakora wrote the script in 2017 after seeing success with 2 short films and noticing a young dance group of girls who were in a dance contest who began to dance suggestively. It became her mission to bring light to this Western influence in their sexual dancing.
So is that what she said?
That's exactly what she said. And just to have proof of what we said, wait a minute, we have another phone call. 111-111-11111. Let's see who this is. 111.
Thank you for taking my call.
Okay, who is this?
Hi, I go by my nickname for YouTube. Is that okay?
Okay, what's your nickname for YouTube?
Yeah, I have a popular page. It's called the Universe Galaxy. It's an NBA page. If you don't know who I am, don't worry about it. It's fine.
Okay, what's on your mind?
Okay, thank you. I just found your program randomly, and I noticed your title was Cuties Netflix, Pedophilia, or Social Commentary. I don't want to make any assumptions before I tell you my topic. I'm assuming that this has to do with how Hollywood or mainstream media, things like that, have sometimes pedophilia and things like that.
Well, in particular, this particular connection to it, but what's your point? Let me hear your point.
Okay, here's my point. I'll try not to take too long, just I hope you have some patience here for me. Imagine there was a law, okay? There was a law that told you no heterosexual man, I'm not talking about homosexual, heterosexual, should be attracted to anyone who's 18. Not 17, not 3, not 1, 18 years old. And if you are attracted, you're a pedophile, and you go to jail, then they basically condemn you. You would agree with me that would be insane, right?
Okay, hold on. Let me get some context before we start going back and forth and answering questions. Let's get some context here, okay? First of all, are you affiliated with NAMBLA?
No, I'm not sure what that is actually.
Okay. That's a pedophile.
He knows what it is.
Okay. It's well, we're not gonna go into the discussion, but that's the love of grown men for little boys, right? So I got a question.
Oh, no.
Okay. So because pedophilia. Wait a minute. Let's go. Let's have a great conversation here. I'm not gonna cut you off, and we're not gonna argue.
Thank you.
We're just going to have a discussion.
I respect that.
So I just want to get right. We're not gonna argue here. We're gonna have a discussion. We just need to go through because there's two different types of pedophilia. There's the kind where there's a grown person and they're a male and they like young prepubescent boys. And then there is
that's the only kind of pedophilia.
Okay. Wait. Then there's I'm going through definitions, right? Then we can have the discussion. So we be clear. So wait now. Then there's pedophilia that has to do with a grown person having a love for young girls. That could be and pedophilia. Wait, let me finish. Wait. I'm giving definitions now, and we can go through this. Come on, man. I'm gonna let you talk. I'm gonna give you a chance. Let me go through definitions, and then we can have your rebuttal, being that because I appreciate your call. I appreciate your call, but let's get through it so that we can have a great discussion here. I need to lay it out for my audience. I
understand, but you're not showing any patience.
I'm showing plenty of patience. You're not showing patience because you're not letting me get everything out so I can give context to the audience before you begin to speak. You got to let me give context to the audience, right? And then we'll be able to have a discussion. But you just denying what it is and what it isn't doesn't help us have a great discussion. Now, for the people out there, we're talking about Cuties Netflix, Pedophilia, a social commentary, and we have a caller, and we're going to go through this because we appreciate his call, but I got to get all the definitions out. Now, pedophilia, it can be a male or female after a boy or girl by its definition. Oh, he dropped the call. Oh, he didn't want to stay on. I mean, I wanted to have a conversation with him, but he wanted to press a point. And I'm trying to get all the definition out so that we can have a clear, concise conversation. That's right.
You have to set up.
You have to set up. You have to know the rules of the game before you play the game. So he didn't want to come on. Okay, he called back. Okay.
Because we educate our audience.
So we educate our audience so that once we start the discussion, people will know what we are speaking with. Because I want to hear what the person has to say, but we have to lay the ground rules. So that is what the definition of what it's about. Okay, now we can bring him up. Hello.
Yes.
Okay.
I did not hang up. I don't know what happened.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, so now you said that if it was an 18-year-old and it's a heterosexual.
Can I just say something? I know what I'm saying.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me talk for a second, please. I think.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm with you. Go ahead.
I don't want. I heard you the first 3 times. Let me say the sentence, please.
Go ahead. I'm with you. Go ahead.
Unbelievable. Thank you. I know you're with me. Thank you.
I'm with you. Go ahead.
Can I get to it? Okay. I'm not trying to be disrespectful or rude. I know you have a program and you have to establish rules and establish the ground game and you're going to give me time. I know that. I just wanted to point out 2 things. When I called your program and you interrupted me and said, hold on, I didn't flip out. I was willing to let you say something. But when you started giving me the definition and you started saying there's 2 definitions, All I was trying to say is, no, there's only one. And every time I try to explain that, you kept saying, hold on, hold on, hold on. You wouldn't even let me get a sentence in. That's all I was trying to explain, that there's only one definition. There's no two definitions.
Okay,
three
could
definitions,
you
four
elaborate
definitions. There's
on...
one definition.
Okay, come on, man. Keep it moving, man, because I want to hear what you got to say.
Right.
Keep it moving. Keep it moving.
Of
Keep it
course.
fresh. Keep it fresh.
I had a feeling you weren't interested in any of that. So now I'm done anyway. Don't worry. So let me get to the topic now. The topic is, pedophilia is obviously abnormal. I'm on your side. I'm a God-fearing person. I'm against having sex with children. That's not even sex. It's rape. It's horrible, nasty, and disgusting, and no sane, normal person would be attracted to children. What I was calling you about was, there is a difference between a man being attracted to a young woman versus a guy wanting to rape a child. So, for example, when a guy graduates high school, he's 18, he graduates high school, there's no religion, there's no science, there's no common sense that tells you that guy should no longer be attracted to girls in high school. But it is wrong to be attracted to children. The problem is, when you say there's two definitions or three definitions of pedophilia, you're wrong. There's only one, and that was the first definition, which was, if you're attracted to a child who's prepubescent. That's the only definition. Basically, if you're telling me pedophilia is also being attracted to young women, then by your logic, a guy in high school who's attracted to a 17-year-old or an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old, 20-year-old are pedophiles. It doesn't make any sense.
Okay. Wait. I'm following you here. Okay. This is what my mom told me when I was in high school, and I turned 18 in high school, right? I turned 18, getting ready to turn 19 my senior year, right? And she told me that any other girls that are sophomores or freshmen, you cannot talk to, because I come from Ohio, by Ohio law, that would be considered statutory rape. And nowadays, now that they have tacked on that you would be considered a pedophile for messing with someone who is statutorily not able or not emotionally ready to deal with someone who is grown. What do you say to that?
Here's my answer to that. What is the definition of grown? What is the definition of somebody who's not ready? So, for example, just hear me out on this. If the law says you cannot be with a girl unless she's 16 and up, because in America the law is not 18. Most people don't know that. It's actually 16 in most of America. So if somebody says an old guy can't be with a young girl, what does that mean? For example, is 20-year-old, is 21-year-old, is 23-year-old? There's no random definition like that. The second problem is, all I ask people is to go by your beliefs. Go by your religion, go by science, go by man's desire. There's no religion on this planet, there's nowhere in science, and there's nowhere in common sense that tells you once a guy turns 18, he has to stop being attracted to girls in high school, and there's no religion, science, or common sense that tells you girls should not be attracted to older guys. Now, if your mother tells you don't do it, I respect your mother. Your mother is right to tell you not to break the law because she doesn't want her son in jail. She is right. The only problem I have, though, is if two human beings do something and they're not hurting anybody and they're happy, they fall in love, they get married, why should a man be punished and have his life ruined and put in jail and hurt his reputation?
Okay. Let's have this discussion. Women now. You said there is no common sense. I'm just going to call it a statute. There's no common sense statute. There's no biological law. There's no such and such that a grown man cannot like young girls. Well, common sense. No, wait. Let me respond. Because I'm just giving you back. Wait a minute.
I said I didn't say that.
I
didn't say that. Can we have a conversation?
I mean, we are having a conversation. You're not letting me respond to it. I'm telling you the way you can't tell me the way. Wait, sir. You cannot tell me how.
I'll stay quiet. I was just going to tell you, I will wait as long as you want. Just one thing, and I will stay quiet. I won't say
Okay,
anything.
go ahead.
When we have a topic, thank you. When we have a topic, and I wasn't yelling at you or cussing at you or going insane, and I'm just trying to correct something you said. A conversation is a give and take. Let's go back and forth and go over things as adults. But every time I say something when you're talking, you take it the wrong way, like, wait, let me finish. It's my turn. Hold on, sir. Like, why do you have to get emotional like that? Just relax. Let's go over things.
Dude, wait. I love that white supremacist take on things where you're trying to flip it around. I haven't, wait, see, you're stopping. You no, wait. India, wait, see, wait a minute. Indians who come to this country are classified as white. That is what's on that's what's on your thing. You do not say, listen, wait, sir. We've done many shows on this, and we understand about the immigrant path of the Indian. You should go listen to some of our shows. I know, but your parents are immigrants, correct?
No, they're not. You're wrong.
Okay. Well, how far back do you go? You don't go as far back as my people go here, do you?
Definitely no.
Definitely not. All right. So let's hold up. Can we have a discussion without you getting emotional? I'm telling you what I'm getting from you, and I'm shooting back. You can't change the way that I'm interpreting what you're saying, and all I'm trying to say is common sense.
The reason I was getting emotional is because when I try to correct you on something, you don't like it.
I mean, you're elongating this conversation, and it's not necessary when all we're trying to do is go back and forth. And what I'm saying to you is, you said there's no common sense. Let's cut to the chase. Let's cut to the chase. You want to argue, but I'm not going to argue with you. Either we can have a conversation or we can't. That's up to you. Now I'm going to respond to what you said, and what you said was okay. I'm going to pan you down. So I'm going to respond to what he said, and what he said is that. There's no common sense. Common sense is if the person does not, if the person that you're dealing with does not know the same things that you know, doesn't have a cultural reference, doesn't have a knowledge of the music that you know from your generation, the history that you know from your generation, the just cultural makeup of being a person of a certain age, a person. I'm almost 50. A person that is 65 has 15 years on me, and we wouldn't have anything in common except for the sexual thing. That's common sense, right? So before we go back to the phones, we got to get through this Cuties, because I think that he might be part of the Cuties people. All right, people. So look, this. So what's going on with this woman real quick, right? So let's play this real quick. Let's play this woman right here. She is the creator
I'm the director of Cuties.
This, right? So let me back this up and pause this for a minute. So let me bring this in through here, because we don't want to bring it through that way. We're going to bring it in this way. So let me change it up. So she is the creator, of this film on, right? She's in a film. So here we go. So we're going to play this, and we're going to go through and analyze it. And everybody that's on the phone lines, just hold on, because we're going to come to you. But we need discussion that doesn't get emotional. Like, stop being emotional when someone kicks back to you what they interpret you are saying.
So she's the director and writer?
Yeah, she's the director and writer of Cuties. Okay. And we're going to go on ahead and push this through. I don't know why that's not there. There we go. All right, here we go, people. So this is it.
My name is Maymunat Kouri, and I'm the director of Cuties.
Oh my God, what's going on?
Cuties is the story of an 11 years old little girl who is trying to find herself. She's navigating between two models of femininity. One represents her mother's traditional origins, and the other one is a group of young girls called Cuties. I had the idea of Cuties when one day during a neighborhood gathering in Paris, a group of very young dancers came on the stage and they were dancing like what we are used to seeing in a video clip. And I was surprised because of their age. They were only 11 years old. So I decided to spend the next year and a half doing research. I met with hundreds of preteens who told me their story. I needed to know how they felt about their own femininity in today's society and how they dealt with their self-image at a time when social media is so important. Our girls see that the more a woman is overly sexualized on social media, the more she is successful.
Let me pause this for a minute, right? So look, what does she mean by what girls are she talking about? Like our girls, who is she talking about?
Okay, so she's from Paris. Right?
She's from Paris, but she's Senegalese.
So maybe she's
origin.
I take it she's talking about the girls from her culture.
Talking about her girls from her culture, right?
Right, because from what I also read about it, she talked about how it's she added in a touch of her own personal experience, right?
Her own personal experience.
Because is she a Muslim?
That's what she comes. Her parents were Muslim.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
But she grew up in France.
Right, and because she talked about the cultural clash, right?
The cultural clash, right?
As a child. Okay.
Right.
So I take it that she's talking about the cultural differences.
Yes. Ma'amuna. The Kora, right? She comes from Senegal. What's happening in Senegal right now, right? Okay. Zimbabwe. What's happening in Zimbabwe? What's happening in Kenya? What's happening in Nigeria? What's happening in South Africa, right? We're going to come to that. So stay with us because this is the information that we have is going to shock you, right? With this pedophilia. Cuties, Netflix pedophilia, a social commentary. What's up with the director cutting angles so pervy while trying to blame what's depicted on Western American blacks by blaming what's depicted, the wildness of the so-called wildness of the girls on Western American blacks. Plenty of spoilers this Sunday, so we're going to spoil on this film, right? So this is the cover, right?
Okay.
That caused all the outrage, right? They got this woman right here, who is the director, receiving death threats. This is the cover that was in France. This is how the cover released in France. But when it hit Netflix, Netflix, to me, cut to the chase. Would you agree with that? They cut to the chase because this was not necessarily a family film.
Yeah,
it's not a family film.
Well, because my opinion is the French version, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I was a parent, right, and right now we're all going through COVID, so and a lot of kids are learning from at home online. So we have children at home and they're watching Netflix. And so that first cover to me would be misleading because if I would look at it, I would say, oh, little girls playing, having fun, shopping. Okay, you can watch the film, right? Now, looking at the Netflix cover as a mother, I would look at that and say, no, I think there may be a little adult content maybe in this film. Mm-hmm. So I think the Netflix film, if I was a parent, but as a aunt and godmother, you know, and being sometimes responsible for other people's children, I would prefer to see that Netflix cover because to me, like you said, it cuts to the chase.
It warns you.
It warns you. I wouldn't want to be misled, you know, with that first cover because it's misleading. The Netflix cover is more accurate as to what's going on in this film.
Okay. So let's continue on with what she's talking about real quick as she talks about this westernized what they see on the internet crap. Oh, Tanya Congress says, "What the hell are you are doing a great job. What the hell?" Smiley face. See, cut him off. That's cuz he is messing with young girls. Sounds like Mikey. All right. Let's get Mikey. He won't eat it. He eats anything.
Children just imitate what they see, trying to achieve the same result without understanding the meaning. And yeah, it's dangerous. I recreate the little girl who I was at that age, growing up in two cultures, is what gave me the strength and the values I have today. I can appreciate my double culture and live between my parents' one, which is Senegalese, and my French Western one. And as a child, that question of how to become a woman was my obsession.
Okay, so let me pause that again. Okay, so the story opens up and you see this little girl right here, right? And she is with her mother and her young brother, right? And it's a regular household. It's a mother and the two children, but the mother is preparing a special room, and the room is being worked on, right? And the daughter finds out, she's like eavesdropping, and she finds out that her father, her papa, as she calls her, is bringing another woman home, his second wife. Now, arguably, they're living in what would be poverty, right? They're in France. This is this cranked in apartment. It does have 3 rooms, a kitchen and all that, 3 bedrooms and a kitchen, but the mom stays in one room. There's another room being specially made unbeknownst to the girl at the time at the opening of the film until she finds out what's happening, and her brother have to share a room, have to share the same bed. This is poverty, people, basically. But here's this man, he's bringing another woman, right? And so the story opens up and the little girl is pretty much not having grown up in France but just moved to France. She then goes to school and she notices that the dress code is different, that the girls dress differently, and it's different than what she's doing because she's taught her religion. They tell her that a woman will go to hell if she is not pious, such and such and such and such and such, as the story goes. And so she's on the playground and she sees the little girls and they're walking around as how you described it. Well, how did you describe it?
As when?
Getting ready, when they were on the playground in the short mini skirts.
Okay.
You described it as
what? Getting ready for with the stroll? Is that what
getting ready to go to the stroll. That's right. These little girls, right? That's how they look, right? Okay. But you come to find out later in the picture that these girls have morals, and you find out that this little girl right here, that's the main protagonist in the film, she doesn't have morals. You see her steal. First she steals prayer beads. Then she steals a guy's cell phone. Then she zips down and shows the guy her suggestive outfit as if to, let me keep your cell phone and I'll do this for you. Something is missing in the film. Something is missing in Cuties. There has to have been some molestation done to this girl before, because the way that she acts, and even the French girls that were in France, they tell her when she shoots a picture, you do not want, in our opinion, you do not want your children
This is not a film for children at
That's
all.
right.
It's a lot of sexual suggestion in the film.
angles that are up in the backside and in the crotch of the little girls while they are dancing. It goes too far. If the director was trying to make a point about Western culture, listen.
French Western culture.
Well, these are the same people who would come to America and say that American blacks don't have any morals, when in actuality, we don't have our little girls out there doing something. We wouldn't even have our little girls in the film talking about, we're going to be shooting you all up in your crotch, right? We're going to shoot you all up in your crotch, right? So look, why isn't this person of Senegalese descent? What's up to Jason? I see that he's watching. Craig Baxter is watching. What's going on to you? What's going on with you? Why don't you deal with what's happening in Senegal? This is a map, people, right? And this map breaks down, as I swing out, this map breaks down the different countries in Africa. Let me see if I can bring it just slightly bigger. Let me bring it in the middle and see if I can bring it slightly bigger so that we can see what we're working with here and what we're talking about. All right, so let's see. Bring this closer. Bigger. I need it bigger. There we go. All right. So let me bring this up. All right. So this is a map, people. And as you see, this is a map of the sex trafficking by African country, right? Okay. So as you look at it, let me break this down. So if you go to Google and you search African men prostituting their wives, guess what country in Africa comes up?
What country?
Just take a guess.
Is it Senegal?
Zimbabwe comes up, right? Okay. Right? Zimbabwe comes up, right? And in Zimbabwe, they pretty much prostitute their women out. Now, we're not going to say all, but it's enough, because it's poverty in the continent of Africa in these different countries, and they are prostituting their women out to Western European men, right? Kenya, same thing. Nigeria has a problem with, the women have a problem with their men cheating on them. South Africa, where Charisse Theron comes from. Right. Where she's adopting children and saying that they should wear dresses. And why is this a concern? Why would you say, why would that be a concern? Why would that be a concern, right? So we decided we would put this package together for you, and we're going to come right back. Why would this be a concern? This is why it's a concern.
Ton prof te dit qu'il t'aime. Il te demande ton numéro de téléphone pour te voir après l'école. Si tu refuses, il te donne de très mauvaises notes.
This is a public service announcement from Senegal, right? And they're talking about how the male teachers proposition the little girls to get good grades. Now, this is starting when they're in grade school.
Wow.
Propositioning, and so they had to put a PSA to let the little girls know that they can tell. This is happening in Senegal. So when Africans, because we call them Africans over here, they may go by their different tribe names in their different countries, but we call them Africans. We combine them together, like we say American blacks, though we come from different states in America. We're American black. We combine them together and say they're Africans, right? And so when they come here and they tell you that we don't have any culture, well, we sure don't have a culture of selling our children or having teachers propositioning, because when the teacher propositions a child here, you know what happens for the most part, especially if they have a family that cares? Their uncle is going up there if there's no father there. They're going to handle that. You know what I mean? This person is going to be handled.
You know what's interesting? We grew up with the Smokey the Bear PSA.
Right.
Don't play with
don't
Don't
yeah.
burn.
Oh yeah, and then we had the European guy that was acting like the Indian. The Indian cries.
Yeah.
When it,
Protective forest.
Right. Protective forest.
And this is their PSA. This
is
shows
their PSA.
how horrible it is.
Okay.
You know, as far as.
So this is Senegal. Now remember, let's keep playing this. Now we're going through. I'm going to show you quite a few different. Look at this map. This map is talking about the sex trafficking. We're going to break this map down.
The children.
While she's talking about Western culture, yes, Western culture that's coming from the European. Don't let Africans come over here to America and tell us that American blacks don't have culture when over there, they seem to be doing anything for the dollar. Let's keep going.
Renvoie. Il t'appelle la nuit. Il t'harcèle avec ses messages.
Il te dit, si tu sors avec lui, tu seras la meilleure de la classe.
Tu penses que tu ne peux pas refuser. Mais tu peux dire non. Ce n'est pas normal. Surtout, ce n'est pas de ta faute.
Quand tu es enseignant, tu te dois de protéger tes élèves.
Les enseignants doivent protéger leurs élèves contre toute forme d'abus sexuels.
Les enseignants ne doivent en aucun cas avoir des relations avec leurs élèves.
Quand on protège les filles,
in no case have a relationship with
I mean,
a
they
teacher
need
for
to have a PSA for that. That's crazy.
Let's keep going.
Is it running that rampant?
It's running rampant. Now look, they spell it in the Senegalese language. Hashtag it's not okay. They have to tell you it's not okay, right? So that's crazy, right? Human Rights Watch, right? Had to put it. Now check this one out. This is happening in Nigeria and Ghana. Now these women are trying to go to university for higher learning. And what is happening? What is happening so pervasive that the male profs are saying for good grades, propositioning them for good grades. Come on over. Come on over. Come on over. Come on over. What is this? What is this? What is this? And this is the place, this is the continent that some American blacks think is better to go back to. Listen. I hate the bus. The people bubbles are in that Afrocentric and Pan-Africanism died when they killed the leaders off, starting with Malcolm, Martin, when they went over there and started killing up the different African leaders that were about that. This right here, what is over there right now is corruption. Why do you think they're coming over here? And you're talking about going back over there. You're going to take your children over there where it's poverty, where there's no job opportunities. And if you have job opportunities, they're going to look at you like, well, let's watch. And then I'm going to bring the word up. So stay with us because we're breaking this down tonight. Let's go.
Sex for grades. University professors sexually harassing and blackmailing their students.
Situations have been going on for years, and every single year, every single department, every single student, there's always a story.
We all hear about it, but it's almost never proven.
The very first advice I got was don't ever go to your male lecturer's office alone.
Good afternoon. Fine, thank you.
It's as if almost everybody in Nigeria and Ghana knows somebody who's been sexually harassed by a lecturer.
Okay,
nobody
so wait,
wants to listen. Nobody wants to believe
victims.
It is crazy. I know a lot of people that have been abused, and nobody.
Pause this. Listen. Let me back this up. You're starting in grade school, Senegal. So that's just looking at Senegal, but I'm sure it's waving its way. Then you come to university, you're older, and the university system profs, just like your teachers, were propositioning you for grades. Right. Come on. Right. Why doesn't she write about that? Why doesn't she write about that? Because the little girl in the story was already a thief.
I need to see a Lifetime special on those teachers and profs.
Well, this is what this is about.
I mean, well, the same way they kind of focused on R. Kelly, we need the same light focusing on what's going on with those educators who are supposed to be educating the children and not sexually propositioning them.
Yeah, let's go on here. So watch this, people. This is what's happening over in Africa, the place that people think is better.
So we need that heat brought everywhere.
You think it's better, but it's not. I wouldn't want to take my kid over there because.
So if we're gonna protect our children, it doesn't matter what continent they're in. You know,
That's
whether
right.
it's in North America, South America, Africa.
This is my point. They are, when the people come over and you be talking about culture, brother, you know, they take you over to the cultural sites and then they're laughing at you because you know who they're looking for? They're looking for the European with the dollar, baby, and you had only enough to get over there. You didn't have enough to stay. You went over enough to visit, but you know who they catering to the most? They catering to the European because they bring in the dollar and they're willing to do anything. They talking about culture. They say, I'm not listening to what those akatas are saying.
They're saying brother, laughing at you because they're thinking you're leaving. You're trying to leave there to come over here.
And we're trying to get enough money to get over where you're at and be the invasion of the black body.
I did not know that they had commercials running like that. Public service announcement commercials like on this. Are you kidding me?
Yes, let's keep going. You see, people, welcome to the deep, dark continent of Africa. Okay, here we go. Let's go.
In Nigeria and Ghana know somebody who's been sexually harassed by a lecturer.
Nobody wants to listen. Nobody wants to believe victim. It is crazy. I know a lot of people that have been abused and nobody is trying to do anything.
For the past year, I've been working with BBC Africa Eye to build a team of female investigators. For the first time ever, we planted journalists posing as students inside our top universities, the University of Lagos and the University of Ghana, to secretly record men who sexually harass and abuse your sisters, your friends, your daughters.
A lecturer will say that if you don't speak with me, I will not give you mark. Who are you? It's about dehumanizing your fellow human being. I'm a human being. I have rights to my body.
Say this really quick because I'm like, the brothers were the brothers, uncles, the cousins and fathers, because in America, your brothers, cousins, and uncles, and it could be a best friend from across the street. They're going to take care of that. We don't. Are you kidding me? They're not being protected. Why aren't they focusing on protecting their children? Like, it's crazy. What the hell is going on?
213-943-3358. Now, everywhere, you know, you can have isolated incidents that happen here in America with American blacks. You can have isolated incidents. You can have incidents where there are situations where drugs are involved, where situations happen. We know about Jaguar Wright. She told her story. She told it there years later. Isolated incidents.
Right, and where people don't find out that has happened to their child, like maybe years later.
Right.
Or what was happening with the priest.
Right.
But that happened with the priest
we have heard stories, and we know that Monique has had stories, right?
But when you hear this, when I'm listening to this, and they know like that this is going on in the schools every day, like in elementary school,
right,
high school, junior high, like you said, university, like they're well aware that this situation is going on.
Tanya Congress said, for show on the men protecting in America. That's right.
I mean, that's wild.
That is wild, right? So all the people over there, they're laughing at. So let me continue. And this is the reason why I know that when you're going over there talking about brother, they are laughing at you, and they are waiting for the European to come. They say, oh yeah, we're going to take you to these sites. Cry, brother, cry, the door of no return, because they're going to be waiting on the European man. And this is why, people. So this is again Senegal. Now this is where her origins are from. She grew up in France, but she had a detour in the camps, correct? Coming up, right? So we don't know how come what happened was not detailed in her movie. This is what she should be talking about. She shouldn't be talking about the little kids. She should be talking about who is pushing this. So let's move forward here. Let's move forward here.
Gorée, an island of exploitation. For over 400 years, Gorée was a marketplace for slaves. Millions were shipped from here to America, Europe, and Brazil. These days, anyone who travels to Senegal in West Africa usually visits Gorée. UNESCO has declared it a World Cultural Heritage Site. This used to be a slave prison. Today, it's a museum. Empty rooms where local people were once imprisoned. Through this door, they were led to the ships. Today, Gorée is back in the headlines, this time as a playground for pedophiles. One day, I met a man who asked me to go to his place. He put money on the bed. He asked me to do things with him. I refused, and then I went and warned the police about him. I wasn't sure if I should report him as a homosexual or something. But then I saw him on the beach with a little boy, and he was flirting with us too. And after that, he was sent away from Gorée. Ali was 13 years old then. Boys make the acquaintance of white men as they leave the ferry, which crosses between the capital of Dakar and Gorée. Many of the boys have left school, just like Ali. They earn their money as guides to the island. The paedophiles tempt the boys with offers of a meal in a restaurant. Presents then follow. Ali got trainers and t-shirts from his paedophile. Then came the offer of sex.
My name is Maimouna Doucouré and I'm the director of Cuties.
Stop.
Say that again. Can you imagine that happening?
Imagine it happening to your son or daughter or niece or nephew? I mean, that is out of control. No child should have to deal with that. You know, he shouldn't have to. That young man right there, you know, deal with being sexually propositioned and worrying about, you know, going and telling the police and, you know, and that's a tourist attraction, right? Mm-hmm. So. And they have to deal with this every day. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, and so between dealing with the different tourists and then dealing with teachers, I mean, you know, it's
rampant
control.
All over Africa.
To have a PSA, I'm like still shocked about the darn gone PSA. Like I said, we grew up with the PSA with the Smokey the Bear, no smoking, no, you know, and like you said, they had the Native American with the tear, do not play with fire, be careful in the rainforest. Or not rainforest, but be careful in the forest, right? But, I mean, no child should have to deal with that. It's crazy. And we did a show on sex trafficking before.
Yes.
You know? We've covered this before.
That's right.
Like, this has to stop.
That's right. July 19th, 2020, episode 122. Is the United States headed to a pedophile state? Right? Go back and watch that. Keep your hands around, keep your arms around your children and keep them safe because there are people out there that want to diddle them.
How about the Oscars adding that to the criteria? We are not allowing works from any producers or directors, filmmakers, anybody dealing in pedophilia. How about that? How about adding that to the criteria?
This guy that goes by Zanga is the producer of this woman's Durango, what's her name? I mean, I really don't even want to say her name here. Doucouré, right? He is the producer of her film. I would watch this film just for context, right? You as an adult. I mean, pedophiles don't watch this film because I think it was made for you, so don't watch it. But for those who want to have context, watch the film. A producer, he's a producer on the film. Now, producers in a film, sometimes you don't even know because there's always a battle between a director and a producer because who actually gets the credit for the angles that the cinematographer does, because the producer plays such a big part in finding location, finding people to cut clothing, etc., etc. And sometimes there's a battle, especially when there's a producer who is financing. What's the odds that old girl right here, this down here in the corner, the filmmaker right here, right? If he said, we should do an angle like this and that, how many of those angles are put in by... We're just asking questions. It's just our opinion, right? Now look, she was getting much praise in the film festival, film festival arena, right? Okay. She was getting lots of praise, but this guy right here, was a co-founder of Sundance, right? And he is a co-founder of Sundance, right? And we're going to leave his name, but he was stripped of being a co-founder because he was, it was alleged that he messed with a little boy between the age of 7 and 9, little girl.
Yeah, allegedly he was charged.
He was charged, but alleged, when this article came out, it was alleged that he messed with a little girl 7 and 9, but he was charged and he was later removed. Now, when you watch videos on Cuties from Sundance, they're talking about that her talent is well recognized and everything, but is it well recognized? Is that film well recognized with the angles of pedophilia, in our opinion, that are in it? Like, it goes beyond telling a story about a little girl and gets into some pedophilic...
I mean, for me, what is the validity in what he has to say as far as her, Sundance award, when he's been charged as co-founder for abusing children sexually. Right. So,
the person that's on the line has a question. Let's bring them in and see what they're talking about. 111, you're on the line.
Greetings, how are you tonight?
All right. Who's on the line?
My name is Sapphire.
Sapphire, okay. What's going on, Sapphire? What's on your mind?
Okay, so I have a comment and a question regarding the subject. So I've been listening to the show since the inception of it this evening. Okay. And I had not known about this series or this movie, whatever it is. So as you all were speaking, I began to research this Cuties thing. And I'm thoroughly disturbed by this. I would have never known had I not listened to the show. So basically, I want to say this. And I want to apologize and give this disclaimer ahead of time because what I'm about to say may be offensive. I find that Africans are so naive and childlike in their thinking as it relates to this culture and how melanated people are dominated on the planet and the tools that are used. These Africans are often used against us in America. And I say that because they are basically blowing smoke up this woman's butt by telling her she's talented. My 12-year-old niece could have thrown that together. And she would have been thoroughly checked had she thrown some trash like this together. But what am I saying here? I'm saying that these people are using her as a beard for pedophilia, right? Because that's what this is. When I saw those, who instructed those children to stick their non-existent breasts and butts out? Skinny little prepubescent girls. That hurt it broke my heart. And so as I began to research this, I looked at the ages of consent all over the world, and Europe and Japan and Asia had some of the lowest ages of consent, which is 12 years old. But then again, when I looked at North America, when I looked at America, it says this, and this is my question, I want you to help me understand this. It says that the age 12 is the minimum age of consent, but if an older person or an adult has sex with this 12-year-old, then it is left to the discretion of the prosecution. So is this a discretionary law where they're going to punish certain pedophiles and let others walk? What are they saying here?
Okay, that is a excellent question, and from what we have researched on it, it comes from I'm just going to use it, as more connotative than denotative, and then you can go research it and get the denotative on it. But a connotative it has to do with the Old West and having the older women who came out, they couldn't make it on the trail and would die. So they would bring 9-year-olds to 12-year-olds out across the plains to the men that were in the West, gold mining, whatever they were doing, and then they would marry those girls, and they would start their children, start their families with these young girls. That goes on, but as women then begin to get more rights, and what had happened over time, then the people started to form laws with the lobbying and everything to change laws so that women would have rights and that men who mess with little girls would be prosecuted and put into prison. However, the original laws still stand on the books about consent because of what was needed during the Old West time, and that's how it's explained, if that makes sense there. So the old laws are still in the books, but new laws were put on top as far as consent was concerned, because I guess they would say that those type of men who thought that way would be those type of men, so they would still need those laws as protection, as buffer protection in case of pedophile being classified as a pedophile. That's the best way I can describe it. Does that make sense?
I'd be lying to you if I said yes, because I don't understand it, because as I'm reading the verbiage here, it's saying that sex with someone 12 years old is not necessarily illegal per se, but can still be open to prosecution. So it's just like saying, is she a little bit pregnant or not? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't make sense.
You're essentially saying that in America you can have sex with a 12-year-old.
No, it doesn't make sense, but what I'm saying is, as far as the law breakdown is concerned, does that make sense that they kept it, just like what you said, that it's up to the prosecution, they kept it on the books because they know that there are certain men who still believe that way, so it would be a buffer. I just said the same thing that you said, but I just did it connotatively. And so it's the same thing. So okay. So it's saying that if that makes sense, it doesn't make it right, but that's the sense of why both laws exist on the books.
Okay. Well, lastly, in closing, I want to say this. Mm-hmm. I believe that this African woman, while she is in France or she is in Europe per se, mm-hmm. I believe that this was no mishap. They knew that this would be extremely controversial, but she is being used to acclimate the lifestyle into the mind or the psyche of the populace. So that, okay, so now you saw it, we took it away, we want you to have a conversation about it for a year, and we want people to beat you over your head with, oh, it's okay if I love this child, if I love this little girl, maybe she doesn't have parents, and I kept her till she was 15, and only then did I have sex with her. I mean, this is straight up pervert territory right here. And this African woman is being used, and again, like I said, I apologize if I offend anyone, but Africans are so childlike. I don't know if poverty has ruined their linear thinking, but over the years, they behave like children. You know, their culture provides a safety net for them in the sense that they have rituals and things that they do when you come of age, and so that lets some people know, hey, I'm old enough to get a wife or do this or I need to get a job. But essentially, they have a child mentality when it comes to the politicity and the world culture. And they will argue you down about this, but these people are out here being perverts, and it is masked under religion, you know, under certain laws that they have that don't make any sense. And I want to say to the North American black man and woman, you better watch your kids and you better stay gripped up. Yeah. Because I believe these people are coming for the children. Yep. I believe it now. After this, I believe it. I want to thank you for your time, and that was it for me.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, people. 510 is on the line. 510, you're on the line. Who are we speaking with?
Hello, how you doing? This is CA, also known as Mr. Research.
CA, Mr. Research, how are you doing this evening? What's on your mind?
You know, it's unfortunate I wasn't able to have the young lady stay on as well, but let me share this with you.
Okay.
I don't believe anybody is really serious about pedophilia. Let me explain. Outside of America, this happens all the time, and it's been happening for decades. Nobody cares. And I think the reason why Americans are so over the top, which they should be, is because of the women's rights around 1960. But let me not talk about the women for a minute. Let me show you why nobody really cares.
Okay.
Little boys in Africa get married, 12, 13-year-olds to older 50-year-old women. I don't see no women in America mad at that. Don't see no women in America upset at that. So to the lady's point that she just made, she's absolutely right. A lot of Africans are childlike, but guess what? Same thing happens in Germany. Same thing happens in Pakistan. Same thing happens in parts of Russia. Because nobody cares about the topic pedophilia. They care about women suffering from pedophilia. If people really cared about pedophilia, they would look at it all. Liberace here in America dated a 17-year-old boy. Liberace was 50 at the time. Liberace was one of my favorite pianists. Guess what? Gay community didn't say nothing. Matter of fact, gay community just passed a law in California allowing a 10-year gap to manipulate a child so that they don't have to get put on a registry. If you really cared about pedophilia, it wouldn't just be a woman-only conversation. Let me say it again so nobody gets upset. I'm against it wholeheartedly, but if you really cared about pedophilia, you would be caring about all aspects. You would use talk shows to talk about more than just the women's part of it. When the gay community passed these laws that recently, and maybe this was a good show topic for you, sat up here, a guy from Pennsylvania, couldn't get it passed out where he lived, so he moved out to California, found a district that was real weak, moved over there and became a representative, and then he put that thing on the books. Well, guess what? A bunch of Democrats passed for it. And what it says is, if you are 17 and you're raping a 7-year-old, you should not go on the registry for sex offenders. What do you mean? You raped a 7-year-old. If you're a 15-year-old, you rape a 5-year-old, you shouldn't go on the sex registry. That's a way to protect their group. But guess what?
Nobody makes a show about it because it's the gay community and they got money and they'll push back and get you. But when it's ladies, it's different. So my thing is, when we have these topics, we got to include everything about the topic so your eyes can really be open. Like my last point, to the ladies' point, that's why I wish she was still on. If the African situation is so bad, then guess what? When you see these little boys become child soldiers and be given cocaine to sniff just so they can carry a gun, it's not sexual rape, but guess what? It's a form of pedophilia. Say something. Oh, we say nothing because it's boys. Okay, let's wait for one of the girls to backstab one of the girls, and then we'll get upset. So my point, just to be clear, when we pick a topic like pedophilia, talk about it all. Ladies, don't just only talk about women's side. Men, talk about it all. What are your thoughts?
Okay. When the person called up that we're calling Mikey called up, I gave a definition that pedophilia is not only men liking boys, but men, women liking boys, or men, women liking girls. So we were hitting both sides. Matter of fact, the video that we play shows the pedophilia happening to little boys over in Senegal, but of course it's happening all over Africa. So I hear what you're saying, but the question is, what is to be done about it? People don't care, but we look for solutions, and what's to be done about it?
Here's what's to be done. The women have to start caring about things outside of women-only issues. Let me prove my point. Men care about women being abused. Men care about girls being abused. Most men don't care about boys. Most ladies don't care about boys. It's an afterthought. So in order to get the strength of the topic, you can't pick and choose which demographic you're going to cover the most. And that includes everybody. Nobody wanted to believe that football team was getting raped. Nobody wanted to believe that. Oh, those are men. They can fight back. They football. No. The minute somebody makes an allegation, investigate it regardless of what. Look how long white folks or Irish folks or Catholics protected the priest. Nobody wanted to really talk about it. You know, priest got all this power. So that's what's to be done about it. The solution is when anybody in the gay community, in the straight boy, the straight girl, is to be thoroughly looked at, no questions. We're not going to accuse without evidence, but it needs to be looked at with no question. And through that, by proxy, everybody will take it serious as a uniform goal. But if you just make it a gender-only issue, just like I tell people all the time, like just as a side, domestic violence. According to the census, same-sex lovers beat black women more than black men. Not to say that's a victory. Not to say that's a victory. But you got people who still believe it's black men. No, in order to solve it, you got to include everybody, including your favorite lesbian woman. That's how you solve it, sir. It has to be an all-inclusive conversation. It can no longer be a gender-only conversation.
Well, it's funny that you would say that about same sex, because there was a video rolling. Matter of fact, people, we have 10 minutes left on this line, but I just set up another line, and we're going to be going live on that line at 9:30. So we just want to let everyone know that you can call into the 213-943-3358. We set it up for another 2 hours because we have more show to go as we talk about this topic and also review Capone and a few other films. But it's funny that you would talk about same sex because there was a video rolling around Facebook a few years ago where it was a young black girl in her bra and panties, and it was this a woman who was I'm just gonna say that she was a dyke. She was like a dude, thin dude, but she was like a dude, and she was beating the brakes off of this girl's like face, like beating her up, and someone was filming her and said, "You gonna cheat on me? You gonna cheat on me?" And she was punching her like what the stereotypical dude would be punching a female, what they say abuse of a American black male is to an American black female. And I had never seen anything like it, and it brought tears to my eyes because I had never seen anything like it. And I have seen domestic violence, but I didn't see anything like that. And the girl screamed, she was like, "Stop hitting me about my head," because she felt the slip like she was about to die, man. So when you talk about that same sex, there is a video, there are probably multiple videos, but that video right there, she said, "Please stop hitting me about my head," because she felt the slip like she was going to die. And I had never seen anything like that. And I have seen domestic violence. Go ahead.
Well, when I moved to Atlanta, I saw worse. I grew up next door to San Francisco, but I have never seen as much LGBTQ activity like Atlanta. Now, when I first got to Atlanta, I'm seeing 26-year-old girls with 12-year-olds. I'm seeing 30-year-old barbershop owners with 8th graders. You know why nobody says nothing? Because it's a female-dominated area, and they feel like if you come against one, you come against all. Now, you're thinking, okay, right is right. Call the police. When I tell you that stuff was happening so much from Decatur to Fayetteville to East Point, older women with young girls, like it's nothing. I was at and the only reason I even paid attention because I was at a barbershop one time downtown near High Point, and there was a young girl sitting in the barber shop with black men, and that's what I said. Men, we love to protect females at all costs. Sitting in there with black men, and there's a young girl, but she's dressed like she's older, but you can tell she's young. And I said to the dude cutting my hair, I said, "That's somebody's daughter." He just shook his head. He said, "Man, no, I need to speak on that. I mean, that's the shop owner's girlfriend." I'm like, okay, all right, finish my hair. So to my point, yet again, for the solution, women got to stop playing the women-only card. If you don't like pedophilia, get upset when you see a gay person do it. Get upset when you see a gay man do it. Get upset when you see a dude do it to a girl, of course, and also get upset when you see some of these women do it to boys. Did you guys do a show about the grandmother that was molested her own grandson? Black woman. See, and look, white women do it too. White women have been caught doing it too. So we got to get out of this gender-only conversation. That's my solution.
Well, you know, keeping you, because this conversation is robust, and this is the type of conversation I was trying to have with the guy who was pro wanting to date little girls. You know, just my opinion. You know, just my opinion on what I was getting from him. Right. This conversation is so robust. I want to stay with this for a minute. Now, the male-only conversation seems to me to be coming from African women from these countries over in Africa where their men are doing what we illustrated through the video, grade school, they're being propositioned by older men. In college, they're being propositioned by their profs for grades, for sex, for grades. And then you get out here in these different countries like Zimbabwe, Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, right? And then we have a map up on the screen right now that shows you the different places, and it breaks down by color code, which has abolished it, others who have legalized sex trafficking in Africa. And we have yet to talk about Senegal and how it is has made it so that prostitution is legal, where they have cards and everything, kind of like the blue light district over there in that European country, which will remain nameless right now. But my point about this is, Most of this, when they talk about black males, is coming from African women who are coming here, in my opinion, the invasion of the black body snatchers, and then writing articles at different publications talking about black men got to do better, black men got to do better. Maybe your African men over in your countries, you should go back there and correct them, because American black men here, for the most part, don't participate in doing situations like that, because they have seen things coming up, especially this Generation X. There are some that are in the underbelly, but there are others who do not participate. Do you agree with that or not? And should these African women deal with their men and correct their problems before they start talking about American black men?
You know, I was on Fox Soul the other day on one of their shows, and I said, you know, the unfortunate thing is that we have in our neighborhoods, we don't realize how the world operates. So to answer your question directly, yes, they should deal directly with their flag culture and their flag culture problems, which is one of the reasons I say when African Americans go over to Africa, they got to realize many times, not all, they want our money. They don't necessarily want to change their situation to make things more livable and cooperative. Also, to your point, you got to consider BBC News did a thing on Lebanon having child brides, Jordan having child brides, Turkey, which used to be your Troy in the Bible, that they have a child bride. So the 12-year-old thing is not limited to just Africa. Let's be clear on that. But if we're going to do what Bill Clinton wanted to do with this and have to invite everybody to the country concept, I warn all of you, don't hate the immigrant. Just understand the immigrant is not necessarily changing their behavior in their country to suit America. So it's like, and to the other points you made about black men, percentage-wise, you may hear about 1, 2, or 3,000 black dudes doing something inappropriate. I give you that. But you ain't hearing a bunch of black dudes doing stuff inappropriate. And then we don't know where those black dudes are from. Just because they black don't mean their heart is American. They could be Haiti. They could be Legos. They could be from Akon Spot. Women got to understand, and men got to understand. The time now is to be strategic on how we talk, to make sure we're not doing these blanket statements. So yes, the Africans do need to correct that, but hey, our women need to have a woman conversation. Don't have us men get involved. Y'all have a woman conversation with those women and say, hey, what are you doing about the women who are marrying young boys? What are you doing about the women who are supporting some guy marrying a young woman?
Okay, let me say this.
Let
me say this real quick. We're getting ready to move over to the second line at 9:30. So I want you to call back in once the phone lines open back up at 213-943-3358, because we have 40 seconds, and I want to see what 111 is about to say. 111, you're on the line. Who are we speaking with?
This is Sapphire again. I called in earlier.
Okay, Sapphire. Wait. I need for you at 9:30. The second phone line is opening up because we're going to extend the show. So we need you to call in as soon as the 9:30 line opens up at 213-943. We're going to go on. We're going to end this line right now and get ready for the next show. Call in, both of you back, and I'll have both of you on the line.
What's the number again?
213-943.
Okay.
213-943-3358. All right, people. So we're ending that line, and we just opened up another line.
Goodbye.
And we're getting ready to dial into the next line here. Let me go here and start the line up.
The red light district is in Amsterdam.
Amsterdam, that's it. So we're getting ready to open the line back up here, people, because it's going. Let me dial in. This is an interesting show, and we hadn't finished we hadn't finished our show, so our
Welcome
show
to
is
Blog
going
Talk Radio.
bonus.
Please enter your host pin. When finished, press the pound key.
To start your show now, press 1.
Your show is scheduled to start in 1 hour, 59 minutes.
Please call back within 15 minutes of schedule.
Okay, wait a minute. I gotta change that timing. Okay, it's gonna be 1 second. This is gonna be edited out. Let me change this. So that goes to. I was looking at East Coast time instead of.
Oh, Pacific.
It's Pacific, yeah. Okay, people. So 1 second on the line. Must be between. Okay, let's take some of this out. Okay. Save. Alright, here we go, people. So now let me go on over here to stud. Let me do this and let's dial again. Alright, here we go, people. So it'll be 1 second while we bring this up. Yeah.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please enter your host pin when...
To start your show now, press 1.
Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now.
Thank you. All right, people. So we are back.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4,
3, 2, 1. And we are back live.
Blog Talk Radio.
We are back live. 213-943-3358. 213-943-3358. We have a robust conversation going on. Hopefully the gentleman calls back in. I see that 111 is on the line, so we're going to bring her back in. 111, you're on the line. Is this Sapphire?
Yeah, so it's me again. So here's what I wanted to say, in all due respect. But I'm not gonna, or how do I say this? I'm not gonna allow anyone to coerce me into saying that in the black community in America, there's not rampant sexual molestation of children, because there is that, right? And there is a difference between an anomaly and a situation that is ongoing and rampant. We are concerned about both. If it's an anomalous situation, very concerned about that. The rampant situation, extremely concerned about that. So I'm not gonna, while I understand this goes on all over the globe, I refuse to be quiet about the pedophilia that goes on in the black community in this North American container. It does happen, it happens often. The children, the little girls, are coerced into not speaking up about it. So you hear about it later. This is why you hear so many black women crying in public places when we have speaking forums talking about how they were touched and they were molested. So these preachers in the black church, many of them are pedophiles, right? And yes, they molest male as well as female. But I just wanted to say that because that the guy that was on just now, that was sounding passive aggressive to me. That aggression with the women need to do this, the women need to do that. Here's the thing. This is a patriarchal culture, and there is the horrid exploitation of children happening right now. Everybody needs to do something about it. Get your stick off of the black woman's head. This is what's causing the division between us. I'm so sick and tired of people trying to rake the black woman over the coals. Get over that already. We're talking about child molestation. So we need to do something about it, period. Don't tell me what I need to do as a black woman. I need to talk to these African chicks. No, I'm handling business over here in this container. Right?
Yep.
So
Okay.
I just wanted to say that.
Okay,
I appreciate your time. I want to continue to listen.
Okay,
So if you don't hang me
wait.
up, I just want to listen.
Okay, wait. Well, okay, I'll put you back on hold, but let's delve into what he said about the American black woman talking to the African woman, right? Who
Right.
in her disgruntledness, writes articles in different publications because immigrants come here, they get jobs in different publications and start to write articles of what black men are supposed to be doing. When I know a lot of black men who do what they're supposed to do, right? But they're writing, they're writing disgruntled concerning their African men, and I think that because American black men can come when they do come and they come forceful with what they're saying, they can come and put it across where those particular women will feel as if they have been threatened. Because I've discussed politics with women just in writing, and they tell me, well, I'm not going to be bullied. And I'm like, I'm not bullying you. I'm having a discussion with you about politics because you're supposed to be mentally my equal. I'm not a male chauvinist, so I see you as equal. And so I'm having a discussion with you like I would discuss with any other human being who I see has a valid viewpoint, and we may disagree, but we can have a valid discussion, right?
Right.
Right. So this is what. So my thing is, maybe it is on the responsibility. 510 just came back in, so I'm going to let him in a second. We can have this discussion. Maybe it is on American black women to lock these women of African descent, the different countries that they come from, straight from Africa here, who are immigrants who are putting on the skin of American blacks and acting as if they're American black. Maybe it is the American black woman's responsibility to curtail and check these African women who come in and who talk ill about American black men, as instead of talking ill about or correcting their problem with their African men. What do you say to that?
Right, and I understand totally what you're saying, but here's how I see this thing. Firstly, they are Africans. They have an entirely different culture. There needs to be a distinction made, right?
Yep.
Now, you and I need to understand that. They are used as pawns against us.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
every battle can't be a war. We already have enough that we're dealing with right here.
Right.
And if you are speaking with these African folk who migrate to America, the first thing you should be letting them know is you are not us.
Right.
That's each one of us. I'm not going to take on that responsibility. Now, if they are talking to me and I'm in a conversation,
Right.
the first words that are going to roll off my tongue is, we are not the same.
Yeah.
We don't have the same culture. We don't come from the same bloodline, essentially. See, my beliefs are very different.
Yeah.
My family knows that they have been here since forever. I don't have an African bloodline. I have a black indigenous bloodline. But even if I didn't, and for those who are here who don't, we are still not the same as the Africans. That is a different culture. That is a different politicity. They are different. While we do have the same melanated and phenotypical features, we are different. Just like Russians are different from Germans.
Right.
And they'll let you know that quickly if you confuse the two. So all I'm saying is, I'm not getting ready to take on that job. I got enough on my back.
Right.
If you see an African chick out here talking greasy about you or your collective, you need to let her know, hey, you're not us.
Right.
Whatever our problems are,
Right.
they don't include you here in this container.
Right.
Because best believe if you go over there to Nigeria talking greasy about any one of them,
Right.
they are going to handle you quickly.
Right.
Know that.
That's right. So for people who are just coming in, this is part 2 of Cuties, Pedophilia, or social commentary. So this is the question that I want to ask. As far as the people who are into Pan-Africanism, we discussed Pan-Africanism in quite detail and nauseum on previous shows. But for those who believe in Pan-Africanism and saying, let's go back over to Africa, I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to bring in 510 because he's been waiting patiently, and we're going to have this discussion out. So I'm going to ask both of you this question at the same time, and then we can have the discussion that we need to have between men and women.
Right.
Is it foolish for American blacks to say, oh, Africa is the place to be with all of this pedophilia going on, with all of this recolonization going on in Africa where they don't have control of Africa, but at the same time they're trying to get their documents together to come over to the United States? Is that a foolhardy view on the part of some of those who want to practice Pan-Africanism as I bring in 510? So 510, you're back on, and Sapphire, you're back on. And what's your name, 510? 510, are you there?
Mr. Research.
Mr. Research, that's right. Mr. Research, that's right. And Sapphire on the line. So I'm going to ask that question. So let's have this out, and then we can get on the discussion about male and female and get your rebuttal to what Sapphire had to say. Who wants to go first on that question?
Ladies first.
Sapphire, are you there?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I gave my sentiments.
Okay.
I'm not African.
Okay, you're not African. Okay, 510.
No.
That was concise and to the point. Okay, 510.
All right. So this has nothing. Sometimes when I say stuff that's very strange to people because they're not used to hearing it, I got the opportunity to travel overseas on my own dime at 19. So it opened my eyes to a bunch of stuff that the hood doesn't really teach us. So with that said, I will agree to what the sister said about us being indigenous to here. The Mali Empire came over here a long time ago, and even before the Mali Empire, we had Africans over here before this stuff was even created. So I just want to give her kudos on that. The other thing that was addressed earlier, not to anybody on the panel, but just the gender thing in particular, we always like to tell little black boys that men should talk to men, women should talk to women. But what we cannot have is women to selectively decide when they want to talk and not to confront other women only if other women approach them. Not about anybody on the panel, but just in general. Because what you're doing is telling the black boy that he has to do all the work to the women and to the men. And then if he says something wrong to the women, to your point as the host, sir, then all of a sudden he's being attacked on that front. So at some point in time, the women have to stop being selectively afraid or selectively non-conversational with other women, because this is what happened when the white women convinced black women that into this sisterhood of feminism that never works for black women. Black women were getting jobs by black men. The Pullman Union started the first national economics convention for black women. The white women didn't even want you working next to the office. But somehow they got convinced, hey, look, go after your man. And they've been happening ever since. To the question directly that the host posed, let me say it this way. Back in, 1800s, a bunch of millionaire black men who created sail ships went over to start Liberia. You had several sectors of Africans who lived there did not want to contribute in making the forts. They didn't want to contribute in making the cabins. They didn't want to fortify the place. They did not want to help. So up rose Liberia from the ashes, created by African Americans. We always got to look at history to answer a question, sir. So what happened a year later? They tried to include the men. They tried to, and everything worked for a while until the grandson of the guy who started the place said, you know what, well, we're going to include y'all in the government, but we have to fade it in. We can't do it quickly. Oh, it's not moving fast enough. Well, that's not how this works, because we're already on 2 lifetimes of us running this place and everything's going good. Well, it didn't happen fast enough, and Africans decided to kill the Americans. proof of what I'm saying, because I'm Mr. Research, I like to give you dates. The 1970 first Civil War of Liberia. Come on.
I'm kicking it.
What is to prevent people from going back and saying, you know what, now that everything's built, now that Akon has built Senegal, we don't want these Americans here no more. At some point in time, love is love, but you got to get black Africans to realize that their enemy, the people of the Celts and the Franks, white people, consider everybody black. They don't care about the fact you from Nigeria and you from Ghana. Right. They can care less. They are going to bond with a German faster than a Polish and a French. They don't care. All they see is black. So the first thing you got to do to answer your question is to get Africans to realize your flag really means nothing to the enemy. That's my answer. Sorry to be long-winded.
My answer to it is, my thought on it is, we're going to have to be like any other colonizer and go over there and take our part. As once we get it together over here, it's our turn to go over there and get the riches and things. See, you just talked about, I often reference the Liberian Wars often with people. I often reference that, and I said, hey, you can't tell us what to do. You are, I'm going to use the modern words today, you are a kata. You are a white Negro from America. You can't tell us what to do. And then the wars kick off. I do it more connotative. You did it denotative. Beautiful analyzation on that. I often talk about that myself. And this is why when people often talk about Pan-Africanism and they talk about that, I say, do you really know what's going on in Africa? Do you really realize that this director, like this director of Cuties, she's one who, if the Senegalese would do anything for $1, then whomever is backing her movie, she will allow them to put in what they want to put in. And the angles on this film are pedophilic angles. They even have, in the scene when they're doing the dance routine on the stage, they even have a Caucasian man. The black people who are sitting there are not shaking their head, no, we don't like that. They actually cut to a white man who is sitting there nodding his head. But you would have the nerve to come over here to the United States as an African woman from one of these states where in Senegal prostitution is legalized and they have prostitution cards, like, what did you say? Over in Europe?
Oh, red light district in Amsterdam.
In Amsterdam.
Right.
They have this, and they're standing out there selling their bodies to Europeans, but they would claim the West and then want to blame Western American blacks for what their children are doing over there in Africa that they're allowing to happen. What do you say to that, Sapphire?
Well, I meant to ask you earlier, where were you getting that information from? Because as I researched her, I didn't see that.
Didn't see what?
Can you enlighten me on that?
Didn't see what?
I didn't see her relating the situation with the young girls being so sexual to the American black woman. Or culture.
These are code words. You know, like how they say that the certain white supremacists have dog whistles. They say dog whistles. Certain words that African woman will say that has to do with the West is directed towards, it misdirected because of some kind of self-hate of some sort, of not looking at us as at least within phenotype being the same, and trying to have what this whole Pan-Africanism thing, which was supposed to be the African diaspora, whatever, you know, that died with the leaders who believed in it. When they say things like the West, they are referencing American blacks in particular, even though the people who are harming them are European and American Western Euro-Americans and European whites. So those are dog. Those are dog. Yeah. Those are dog.
Okay, I can believe that. Yeah, I can believe that they're being used as a tool. I said that. That is what I understand this woman to be used as a tool against the black, indigenous folk or black culture in America. But let me say this. When we talk about these Africans, I don't think many of us understand. You can, and I don't want to offend anybody on this line, but you can preach until the cows come home about reaching out to them. They know that they are not of you. And when you get in their culture and in their circles, they will show you. Now, I can't help because they want to take your money for some Kente cloth or some beads. You need to understand, they love white Jesus. They worship upon that. And there's nothing you're going to do to change that. But I'm telling you, I can't just worry about everything they're doing over there. I really can't. I've got my hands full over here, worrying about how we're faring over here. Right? But if I'm in the company of Nigerians or people from the Gambia or the Senegal, and they bring up relating their dysfunction to Western black folk, yes, I'm going to say something. I've already told you what's going to roll off my tongue. Hey, we're not the same, and you know this, right? So for me personally, in my mind, I understand them. I understand they're trying to position themselves. Now, if you don't understand that, I don't think it's my place. And when I'm not speaking to you directly, I'm to listeners. If you don't understand that, I don't feel it's my place to make you understand it. But all you have to do is read, right? All you have to do is listen to their podcast. They will let you know my culture does not include you. Looking like them has nothing to do with it. It's just like the Koreans or the Japanese and the mainland Chinese, the Mandarin Chinese. They don't get along, even though they have phenotypically the same features and skin tone and hair type. They have that same EDAR gene, but they do not get along. Why? Because they are a different culture, right? They come from a different container on this earth, and they know that about one another. So I'm simply saying I'm not trying to be kumbaya with Africans. I don't have anything against them. And like the Dr. Maya Angelou say, I'm not going to pick them up and I'm not going to put them down. That's my response.
That was good.
Let me
go ahead.
Let me come in for those people listening and give a different type of solution. So recently I put myself forward a lot on these TV stations and what have you, because I wanted to be able to articulate a warfare mindset. And here's what I mean for those people who are looking for a solution. It is not good for you people out there listening, I'm not talking about the people on the panel, I mean the people out there listening, to have the thought process of not saying nothing. You need to slaughter the image the way they slaughter the image, if not just one time in a year. The whole thought process of not saying nothing helps them. The whole process of let it come to you if you out there in listening world helps them. I'm not telling you to get argumentative. I'm not telling you to do any of that. I'm telling you women need to speak on women who they feel are not or are doing anti-black moves. Let's just call it that. Men need to speak on men who are doing anti-black moves. Now, very true, it doesn't mean the person changes their ways, but the narrative is out there for the next generation to have balance and see both arguments. If you people out there are on the I'm going to be quiet thought process, or I'm not going to say nothing thought process, you're doing nothing but helping the anti-black, which is one of the reasons why we push against people now who make anti-black statements, and we're starting to push against people who use their faith to talk about black things but have no interest in black women. So in regards to African Americans, we have this problem. We have people who love to critique each other here, but don't have the research or the honor to pick up the sword and do the same thing against the anti-blacks or the people who are behaving in a way that they don't want to see black children and women. At the end of the day, we can no longer have these I'm just going to sit and watch mentalities while everybody is to their right to do it. But when you see an aggressive man get on and make these statements, use that same energy. Don't speak on the aggressive man making these conversations. Don't speak on the guy, well, it ain't gonna work. Don't do that. Go back to the silence. And it's just for everybody. And if we see a woman doing for black men what black men ain't doing for themselves, don't sit up here and crack on the woman. Hey, look, she this and she that. No, you go out there and you pick up that microphone. You write a book. You get on TV and you make your statement. If not, you're just as bad as the anti-black person for speaking against this woman who is doing something you don't like. She's doing it because you as a guy are cowardly staying off to the sideline. So it's just enough of this stuff for the people out there listening. We got to pick a solution. Either be quiet forever or pick up the sword and bust somebody over the head mentally.
Okay, you know what? This is a robust conversation between you two. I appreciate both of you.
Yeah, thank you both.
Sapphire and Mr. Research.
Yes.
Thank you for calling in. You know, you definitely brought perspective and insight on the topic, and you brought clarity to certain situations within the African and American black relationship, if we can call it that. And thank you for calling. We appreciate you, and we look forward to hearing from you again. All right. So they dropped. All right, people. So looking at this map, right? Talking about the Cuties film. We told you about the Cuties film. And so let's break it down by... Boy, that was a robust conversation.
Yeah, that was a great conversation.
They brought their information to it. No arguing, just discussing, passing ideas. That's what we do here at the Film Review, Movies, Music, Culture, Politics, Society podcast. Uh-oh, wait a minute.
Because they were both on the same page.
111, you're on the line. Hello. 111.
I don't have anything to say.
Okay, you're just listening. You're just listening. Okay, okay, I'm gonna put you back.
Listening.
Okay, I'm gonna put you back. So, you know, robust conversation between the two. No arguing. That's what we do at TFR, hashtag TFR Podcast Live on the Film Review Live channel. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast by going there, subscribing. You can hear us on replay.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So the storyline of, first of all, do you have the cast?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, let's go through the cast of this film. Let me bring the African map down for a minute that shows you the breakdown of sex trafficking in Africa, why they talk so poorly about American blacks. Right, so let me pull this down. Let me bring this back up so that we can go through the poster here. Let me bring that back up. All right, people. So this is the poster, and of course, in the middle we have X'd out pedophilia. We don't believe in it around here at TFR Podcast Live. Hashtag TFR Podcast Live. Before we go through the cast, there's a story that I tell about a person whose father was in the court system. He was a court officer, and he got onto the conversation, and it got on to talking about pedophilia and then bringing people in. And he said that pedophilia to him was not a homosexual act. And I said, well, homo is a prefix. It means same, one. So the same sex doing something is a homosexual act. The same sex playing football take the sexual aspect of it, but it is a homosexual act. So automatically, no doubt that a man, Nambla, loving a little pubescent boy or a teenager with a man is a homosexual act. Because we had got on talking about the priests.
Right.
And the priests, I said, well, they were homosexuals. No, they're not homosexuals. They are pedophiles. That's different. I said, no. Homo is nothing but a prefix, which means same one. Same sex. One sex. Homo. Sexual. Homogeneous. Homogeneous. Go ahead. Cast of Cuties.
Okay, so starring, is it Fatha Yusuf Abdali as Amy?
Amy is the main star, the main character in this piece, and she's tied in between Islamic culture and being within the more secular, I'll call it secular, French culture, right? And she's caught in the middle of this. She likes what she likes, but her character is already shown to be flawed because they show her as being a thief in it. And I don't know where the director and the writer was going with this. Right.
The little girl, she is a good actor.
Good actor.
But it was adult content.
The adult content.
So I would have preferred to see her in another film. Because as an actress, she's a good actress. But it's just the content. And this whole Cuties.
Doucouré, I don't know where she was going with the film. I'm really not
all over the place.
I mean, because at the end of the film, the little girl, the mother basically, we're giving spoilers. So for people who, we're giving spoilers. The mother basically segregates her. She says it would be best that you don't come to the wedding. Because the mother made the decision that she's going to be a dutiful wife and be the first wife, and then the second wife is coming in for the man. And she said maybe it's best that you don't come. Right? All during the whole time, like this girl is 11, and then they have a scene where she has her period and she's bleeding in her jeans. I mean, it's really something that's like absurd.
Well, that scene, I saw it as a coming of age. So when they showed that, I said, okay, well, that's letting you know that she's moved on to her
so she's coming
menstrual
right
cycle.
So she comes down, but see the dress, see, it's like symbolic because the dress that is her Islamic dress starts to bleed first. Then later the grandmother sees her bleed, and then she's the one that goes, the aunt. She laughs and then she says, haha, come on. And when I got my menstruation the next year at 12 years old, I was married at 12. See, these are the things that go on in culture, and they stand in different cultures,
and this right here is like a lighter side of the movie. There are, for those that didn't see this film, I mean, there are areas in this film that, I mean, I'm looking at it like, you know, where is this coming from? Like, she goes from being a little girl who's upset about, you know, her father marrying another woman, and the woman will be living with them, right? So, plus battling with the cultural difference, right? Because they moved to France. So she's dealing with all of this. But then in the middle of all of that, like you said, she goes through, you know, she's just stealing the money and stealing someone's phone. And when the man asks for his phone back, then she figures, well, instead of giving him his phone, she offers him sex.
And where did she get that from? See, that's so where that's not explained in the film. Where did she get that from? Because the French side was not if she was in the secular French world,
Right.
none of the girls that were in the French world exhibited that
Right.
behavior. Then she takes the phone
Right.
and she takes a picture of her vagina.
Right.
Then it spreads across, and then they kick her out the group. They say, "We're not about that.
Yeah.
We're not strippers."
So the other little girls, they're like, okay, we're dancing, we're having fun, we're emulating what we see on the videos, but they're like, okay, but you took it to a whole different level.
Now they
by
want us
taking
to be
a
hookers.
picture of your vagina,
Right.
and it's all over the internet, and like, you're out the group, something's wrong with you, what's wrong with you? You know, so it's just, I think the piece in this film that was missing was like, was this girl was she maybe touched by someone? Like, because it went from her just dancing. Now the other little girls, they danced, they did their little sexy dance moves from what they saw in the video. But she was the choreographer,
and she instigated.
And in her choreography, she brought in more sexual moves.
She instigated the sexual moves.
Right.
They were moving and dancing,
right?
But she brought in
the
sexual, grinding and pumping the floor and bending and gyrating back and forth on the knees,
so
right?
So the thing is I wish the director had a focused on maybe the mind state of this little girl beyond her being upset, with her parents, because all of these other little girls, they were the same age, and same basic issues as 11-year-olds. And although this little girl was upset about her father, I mean, it was taken to other places that was not considered the norm, I guess. I mean, I felt like there was a piece missing. And then the writer, the director, she said she used pieces of her of her life for this film, right? And so she's from Senegal and she moved to France as a child. So I'm wondering what happened in Senegal then, or what happened in France to her as a child, because the film went places that didn't follow what an 11-year-old girl would do.
Right.
It was more of a pattern of a child who have been touched.
Yeah, without some trauma being there. She made it seem like she was a little girl that had no trauma.
Right.
Other than the fact that her father was coming with another woman, and then from there she went off and did all of this wild stuff. But then at the end of the movie, she's a person without a land, so to speak. She comes down. She's wearing regular. No, I'm not gonna say regular clothes, but she's wearing Western clothes, jeans, and a top. She looks in at the wedding, but she doesn't go to the wedding. She's alienated herself from her friends because she runs off stage. She has some epiphany, which we don't understand what the epiphany is, because she didn't go and put on the Islamic dress and go to the wedding. She has some kind of epiphany, so she alienated her friends. So she has no friends. She's alienated from the Islamic, and she's outside, and she decides to jump rope
and the
at
film
the
just
end of the film.
ends. Like
and
the film just ends like that.
And so what is the message of the film right there? So the Dul Corey woman, she needs to focus on and tell the truth of what was happening in her in-between passage of coming from Senegal, being in the camps, and then as a refugee, as the story went, as we researched her, and go over and tell what her experience was in France and who did what, right? And quit blaming Western for what this little girl did, because nothing that the Western world did had anything to do with what she did in the movie. The through line did not follow, which that's a 2 on a through line, because the through line did not follow it once we get to the rating.
Or I'm wondering also, like, could the producer have incorporated like some of that? Let's say if the writer, if she didn't experience that trauma as a child, because she did say she used parts of her life to create the character, to create this film, but also the producer, the guy who you showed earlier, he has a history of doing controversial films also, and he has a film that shows a relationship between an adult male and a child prostitute.
African child prostitute.
He
is a security, as the story goes.
Right.
He's a security guard.
Right.
And he watches this African child prostitute.
Right.
In his security cameras. He becomes enamored and beguiled by her. Right. And he goes out and consciously goes out to seduce this 12-year-old girl.
And that's the producer's film, right?
That's the producer's
film.
So
then it's kind of like you have the co-owner of the Sundance Film Festival. He's no longer associated with Sundance today.
But he also is up for
charges.
Right. For that. Yep.
Right. So, and she went
for dealing with
children. Okay.
Right?
So through that film festival, she's presented with an award, right?
That's right.
From Sundance. Okay. And this is from a man who has been charged with having relationships with children. Okay.
That's right.
But then on the other side of her, the producer of her film also has a controversial history. He made a film, like we just discussed, with a relationship between a man and a African child prostitute. So pedophilia. So it's just like all around her. I mean, there's some type of
pedophilia.
Right. So
inspiration.
Yeah. So in watching this film, did this film get a R rating? No, what's on Netflix?
It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
So, you know.
Okay, so it's on Netflix.
So,
but this is definitely not a film for children to see, and that's why I said the first poster was misleading. The one from France with the little girls laughing and playing.
And it was best that Netflix put that poster up. Right. So Soleil sur la Trottoir.
Right.
Is the film? It came out in 2013.
Which means sun on the sidewalk. So this security guard sees sun on the sidewalk. It's a brighter day, right? Once he sees this and wants to seduce this little African girl prostitute because he's been seeing her in his face. So he put out the Soleil sur la Trottoir in 2013, and this is that director, right? Yeah, he produced Cuties.
He produced Cuties, yes he did. And so remember what the producer says often goes. And so so when you're looking at blaming people, putting blame off on a whole nother group of people who neither have the economic power like these Europeans have to go places and do things is unfortunate. I'll say the least, to be kind. It's a unknowledgeable, but I think willfully unfortunate. It's unfortunate that she is willfully doing this when what's happening over in the continent of Africa is going down. Like, you go over there, it's poverty stricken, and wherever there's poverty, this has the tendency and the possibility to take place, right? So Netflix, to do damage control, they went out and started a campaign saying that it's something to teach children and it's a cautionary tale. Netflix, and go see this.
They're full of bull crap. cautionary tale, please.
And you can't even show your kids
Please,
this
you
because
can't.
the average little kid
Should not
who
see
knows
this.
nothing about sex, they know about little dancing or whatever, and they have fun and it's all innocent. But if they see the angles that this is shot out, they're gonna go So it's not. So let's go through story through line. That is a 2. Cinematography style.
0.
That's a 0, right? No. Well, let me go.
I didn't see
telling
anything
the
artistic.
story, the story.
Okay.
Her ability to tell the story with POV and sizes. That
was the one scene that was a really good scene. Is you remember the scene in the bedroom when she's under the bed and she's listening to the conversation?
That's right. It's how you tell a story.
That was a great
storytelling. And then when she first sees the second wife, and it's more like the shower steam is going, and she's coming out with a veil over her face, looking like she's a beekeeper, and it's all white, and it's scary as she's walking towards her, and then she runs out. So imagery wise, it's two levels to this.
Right.
The way that the woman tells the story on her own, without we can tell where the producers got involved. That's a 10.
Right.
Her ability to tell a story through film is a 10.
Minus all of that other.
The cinematography that has to do with the close-in angles, up the butt, up the crotch, while they're dancing and doing all that, and you're seeing butt cheek hanging out, and you see the white man sitting there shaking his head. Yeah, it's the audience member. That is a 0. That is 0. That is pedophilia. And it's her zest to try to say that, because they say that about Beyonce. Don't they say that Beyonce is the purveyor and she's a cultural misappropriator and she's too sexual,
she's an adult
and she
woman.
does this. And I'm just saying, that's what they say. So this is an example of when they talk about the West, redirect your anger.
Right.
Redirect your anger.
Because when you're talking about adult women entertainers dancing versus little girls,
but Beyonce doesn't do any dancing like what we saw in this film.
What's in this film is
for
crazy.
Little girls 11 years old to be doing that is a 0 on cinematography.
And it goes beyond the dancing in this film. It goes like beyond the dance and just the content in general, just the whole, so-called her little seduction that she tried to do with the grown man over the phone, taking and getting ready to take her pants down and her shirt off, offering her body to this man. I'm like, okay, so where are they going with this?
And he pushes her off and says no.
Right. He's like looking at her like, what is wrong with you, little girl? And he bounced,
but before she threw his phone, she took a picture and then put it over the internet of her vagina. Now, so this is weird. So Amy, so arc of characters, right? The Amy character, the actress who plays Amy, she can emote on screen. I think that she's going to need the right PR agent for after this, because let's go through the rest of the list of the actors in it. I think it's going to derail their career a little bit, because automatically also who is hit at is the person who acts in it. So she's going to need a good PR plan. She's going to need a good agent to keep it going, because all she wanted to do was act in a movie. She didn't know and wanted to further her acting career. She didn't think that she would be thrown into such a controversy. And I don't understand what's happening at Sundance. We told you about the person who was up on charges of pedophilia, who was a co-owner. But when you watch videos from Sundance, they talk about how good she is. She has a film before that deals with the same subject matter, just about the husband taking a second wife, and the daughter is deranged and wants to get rid of the second wife, as the storyline, as the synopsis says. Right. And then there's another film that she has that we can't find. The title is there, but we can't find anything else about it. Those two were two short films. Then she branches out to this larger film, and it's left with gaps. The arc of the character, showing the Amy character, how she arced, I have to give that a 10 because of the acting and how she arced and how it showed how the mentality of who she was at the beginning through the theft. Then she would be willing to thieve and take not only her innocence away, but the children that were with her away. Who else is in the cast?
Also, when we said the main star, Fatha Yusuf. Mahmoud Mona Gain plays Miriam. Medina El Adi plays Angelica. Balichi Granani plays Walid C. Esther Guari plays Kumaba. And those are like the main.
Those are the main ones. Listen, there's a scene where she takes the phone and pushed by the little girls that have the French little girls that have befriended her. They push her to go into the male bathroom to catch a guy while he is peeing at the urinal. Now, this is a little boy fantasy that a little girl would want to look at his wee-wee. That is a little boy's fantasy. So that's where you know that the script, where that is put in, right? She's not successful in the piece, in the scene, but that's something that's thrown in there. You say, little girls aren't usually like that. So the arc of her character, I have to give that a 10. There's a scene in it where, again, she's thieving at the beginning, so that's the through line of it, and how she would thieve and take their innocence, and then she thieved and took one of the girls' opportunity who was going to take her place dancing. She pushes her into the river. She finds out that the little girl can't swim, and she's wailing her hands. Now she's dressed in the outfit to dance with the makeup and the glitter on her face and the tight outfit that you see on this poster over here, right? She's looking at her, and now if the little girl had drowned, then hey, she just would have headed over to the party, but she would have felt bad, but she would have went over there to do the event. The little girl finds a dinghy, makes it over to a dinghy and holds on to the dinghy, right? Edits and sound. The sound on it is good. The way that they L cut, J cut, I'm gonna get that a 10. The edits, because of the pedophilia in it, that's a 0. The sound quality, though, that's a 10. Wardrobe and set design. Using the world that they live in, the school and the country that they're in, France, I get that a 10. The wardrobe, again, that was pedophilia, that's a 0. Direction, the way that she directed the little girl's acting, I'll give it a 10. Her losing her ability to have control of her film, I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt that because the producer put the money up, that she, like many Senegalese, where the money is, you will be willing to. I want to give her, so her direction of the kids, that's a 10. Her ability not to keep control of her film, that's a 0. Actor skill, that's a 10. All right, so what would you rate the film? No, but what would you rate the film overall? Because there's an overall rating of the film, you know. So what would you rate the film? Like those are just, so I have to break down aspects, especially when it's a film where there are good aspects of the film. I break down the aspects. But what would the film get as a full, complete piece?
As a complete piece, I would give it. See the parts that I like is just like very little, like it's just the beginning. Maybe it's the first 15-20 minutes of the film.
Okay, that's establishing the character.
And after that, like I was finished with it because I loved how it introduced the young lady, her mother, her brother, and you learn
her dramatic need.
Her dramatic need when you heard the mother on the telephone talking to, I believe it was the aunt, about the husband bringing his wife, and then the mother's crying and the little girl is hidden under the bed crying. Like, that part was just like well done. But if she had just kept it in that format instead of moving into where she took it, like even the little dances that the little girls did would have been enough without her adding on
the angles,
the sexual angles and the zooming in and the content about the whole. I mean, it was a lot that could have been left out.
A lot that could have been left out.
A lot that
Cuties.
That took it into like this pedophilia field type. So I mean, although like the introduction of the character was great, but before it kind of went downhill, I mean, I don't have a score for it. I guess it would be a 0 because as far as I'm concerned, like, I'm not
playing around with
I'm not playing around with that. I mean, I have too many children. I have many children in my life. As we said earlier, male children as well as female children, as well as friends' children.
Because
like pedophilia is nothing to play with. So I'm giving it a 0. I have nothing for that. And Netflix, they can make whatever type of excuses they want to make, and it's whatever. What did they say? Cautionary tale? Whatever. Like, this is something you wouldn't even want to sit down and show your child, because first of all, the film is all over the place. After they establish the characters, I mean, it's just, I don't even know why it's on Netflix.
So, when I was watching it, because I listened to what she said afterwards, but I was like, is this a new way of, or is this supposed to be groundbreaking? Because I hadn't watched the behind the scenes and the interviews that were done by Netflix and then done by Sundance, right? I hadn't done that yet, but I was sitting there watching it because it's a advanced form of pedophilia, because at first you don't really realize what you're looking at
until
you don't know what you're looking at. So I was sitting there as we were discussing the film, and I was like, is this a new frontier because she's a woman and women can do this? So it took me a while to wrap around it, because then I started listening to her review of her interviews and what she was trying to do with the film, and I said, hey, that's exactly what I was thinking the other day, that what it was. But then as I went through and I kept going through, and then I watched the Sundance piece and they talked about how brilliant she was, and I'm listening to who's saying that she's brilliant. Then I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, Then I started doing the research about Senegal and what's happening in Senegal, and I'm like,
but what did I say?
From the front, you were like that, but we had the views, but what's happening in Senegal right now?
Yeah.
This is what's happening in Senegal right now, people. This is what's happening as we show this right here.
And we
For
know
those
this
who
is
are
going
listening,
on throughout the world.
This is a photo of 2 prostitutes in Senegal, and Senegal's innovative approach to prostitution. This is the story, right? Their innovative approach to prostitution, right? And it goes on to say in a little tagline or a little byline at the bottom, that a tagline that their rates of HIV is lower than even Washington, D.C. Now, what's interesting about Washington, D.C., Baltimore area was a slave port. They had we talked about that before in episodes 121 through 129, one of the episodes in there, where we talked about them having the breeding farms in Baltimore.
Right.
So you would understand why, if they're releasing a virus to kill people up, that will possibly most likely be in the Washington D.C. area, because they bred slaves there, and births keep coming.
Right.
But anyway, that's another show for another time. Right. So that's what's happening in Senegal, and it's innovative by the writer. Now, who is the writer? Who would know? Right? But you know what else is good about not good about it, but what's a saving grace for the Africans? For the Africans is, as we found this is another meme we found, that COVID-19 in Africa, fewer cases so far, and more preparation needed. Right? So they have less cases of COVID-19 in Africa. They thought, Bill Gates and all that was talking about the virus. Talking about the vaccine and needing to go over to Africa, but kind of find out Africans are kind of right now seeming to be immune because it's less cases, and I'm glad that it is for them. It is good that it's less cases, because the European is coming over there and having sex. Men are selling their wives in prostitution in certain countries in Africa. So when people talk about going back to Africa, do you really want to take your children over there? Or have you woke up from your romantic dream? I'm not Roman, so I wouldn't have romantic dreams. Moving right along, people. Speaking of another African, we're here, Africa American. We're talking about none other than Issa Rae. And she has the 4th season of Insecure, right? And so we find the Issa character, Issa D, on the show, at odds with her best friend, while rekindling a relationship with an old boyfriend. And this is where we find her in the 4th season. Now, what's interesting about this season of Insecure is everything that you've known about the show is turned upside down and turned topsy-turvy. Right? The friendship that you know between the characters, the main 2 characters, is at odds with one another. They're chippy with one another out of just conversation. We need the cast. Just out of conversation, they are chippy to each other. Issa D, the character, is advancing and moving forward with her organizational skills that she learned while doing pro bono work.
And again, we covered Insecure season 1, but we found season 4
to be interesting. It debuted April 12th of this year, right? And so, who's on the cast, real quick, as we go through?
So for season 4, of course, Issa Rae
as Issa D.
Right. Yvonne Orji plays Molly.
Now, Molly and Issa D are at odds with one another this season. It's like decisions on relationship decisions and just
in
decision making in particular is being criticized on both sides towards each other.
Well, just like in real life, as time go on, sometimes people have different interests and people grow apart.
They grow apart. That's right.
Jay Ellis is back this season, playing Lawrence.
That's right. And Lawrence and Issa D rekindle a love, and just when you think that it's going to be coming up coming up Magnolias, it comes up Poo Roses.
And Issa's friends are back, Natasha Rothwell and Amanda Seales. They're back on the show, and that's the cast.
That's right. That's the cast. And Amanda Seales' character has had the baby. and she is going through some postpartum depression, basically passing the baby off to the friend.
Right. You know what? Okay, so I had to go to another page because I'm like, some of the cast members are missing. Okay, so also this season, Neil Brown Jr. Is back. Kendrick Sampson is back, and Wade Allen Marcus is back. And I'm looking for the one actor that's dating Molly, but I do not see him
on the detail list,
yeah.
right? So Issa is starting to, her character is starting to arc, because before the first 3 seasons she was pretty much just in a mundane relationship, and then when she first breaks away from Lawrence in the 3rd season, right? Then he comes back in the 4th season.
Did
right?
they break away in the 2nd season?
It had to be the 2nd season unless it's 5 seasons.
Oh, because I'm like, the 1st season, all of that was going
They
on.
broke
Did they
away
broke
in the
up?
2nd season.
The 2nd season they
And
ended.
then the 3rd season he
Okay.
comes back at the end.
Right at the end.
Right. She sees her, and then that's when she discovers the friend is actually dating him. Right.
Right.
So then, now this season they're together and they're rekindling. Just when they think they could have a relationship, something happens, and that's why you have to watch it. So it is a season worth binge watching, and that's what we did. We like to wait to binge watch unless it's that show that we love. Lovecraft Country.
I mean, I wish I could binge watch that. I mean, but it's just like.
But we watch it, and we sit like, after we get off here, we're going to watch that. But anyway, story through line on Insecure this 4th season. That is a 10.
Yes.
Cinematography through and telling the story with the angles and using California as a backdrop and as a living, breathing character. That's a 10.
Yes.
Arc of characters. This season going topsy-turvy and people switching alliances really bring out the arc in all of the characters, even some of the secondary characters.
Yeah.
Edits and sound, beautiful. The use of the music to convey a scene, the editing, beautifully done. Wardrobe and set design, excellent. The concert that she puts on,
great.
Beautiful, right? The direction.
Vince Staples was there, and
the direction in it. That's a 10.
Right.
And the acting skill, the actor's skill is definitely a 10.
Great music.
Great
like each
music.
of the scenes, like from season 1 all the way up until now, season 4, the music is well placed and Insecure. Like they have really great music, and if you don't know the song, you will find in yourself like taking your phone and searching to find out what song is being played.
Yeah.
So they do like a really great job, and you know, her putting the festival together. I mean, it was great to see Vince Staples. He's a really good rapper, a hip hop artist. But I mean, like, Insecure is just a great show.
So what would you rate this?
A 10.
Season? Yeah, I'd give it a 10 also. Moving right along, people.
Yeah.
We have Tom Hardy as Capone, right? This film finds Al Capone, or Fonzo, as he's called affectionately by his wife, an aged Capone suffering from syphilis, right? The ravages of syphilis on the brain, untreated syphilis. He had it 15 years before he went in, as we researched.
Right.
And so he had it 15 years, so it was undiagnosed, untreated, and it causes people, syphilis causes people to lose their marbles.
As well as some bodily functions.
That's right.
Yeah, urination.
Right.
defecation.
It has
with no
hallucination.
control, no bowel control.
Right, hallucinations.
Right,
and
yeah.
So we find him in this state at his home.
Quite depressing.
And he's looking for something in his mind, and the hallucinations start, and he starts to see himself in places that he was in when he was younger, and even comes into contact with his younger self. Right? And he sees people who have been murdered seem to come back to him. So this is where the story is, right? And in the beginning, you think that he is surrounded by family, right? And as the story goes on, it gets more and more depressing. And the way that it is edited out of order. It's not edited in a chronological order of his existence after being freed from prison, right? To live out his last days. And so this could have been his opportunity to stand next to Robert De Niro.
Okay.
With Robert De Niro's definitive, I will say, representation of who Capone was in The Untouchables. If you have not seen The Untouchables, right, with Sean Connery and what is his name? Dancing with Kevin Costner. Right. If you have not seen that film, you have to see Untouchables. It is where he gets his design, his facial design of Capone. He gets that from Robert De Niro's portrayal, I think. What do you think? I think he does. I think so. However, he could have stood next to De Niro, and probably he was looking for some Oscar nods off of this, but I don't think.
Is it the script? Because
I don't think. I really didn't feel his acting in this. You know, Tom Hardy has had a hard way to go as far as I can see, as far as the films. Because the last thing we saw him in, he was playing the twins, and that film rolled slow. Yeah. That was a slow film where he played the twins, right? Yeah. That was a slow film, and with this COVID going on, you really get a chance to actually sit down and watch a film. And when you watch this film, Capone, you say the editing and the chronological order of what's going on, and trying to there's a new technique in film where they try to show you the stir craziness of the individual, kind of like Adam Sandler's film, where people really didn't like that film because
Uncut Gems.
Uncut Gems.
It wasn't bad.
No, it was actually a good film, but they didn't like. Because there's a new technique of editing now where they actually show you the stir craziness of the person. It's non-linear, and it's cutting and going here and there, and it's trying to put you in the mind state of the person. And the Uncut Gems, after sitting back and settling and saying, where is this going? And then the ending of it, people really didn't like it, right? And so the Capone, what you're seeing in this, I didn't too much care for it. Let's go through the cast.
Okay. Starring Tom Hardy as Al Capone. Josh Trank was Agent Harris. Matt Dillon played Johnny. Linda Cardellani played May Capone. Noel Fisher played Junior. Cal McLennan played Dr. Carlick. Jack Lowden played Crawford. Catherine Narducci played Rosie.
And the rest of the cast, ensemble cast. Okay, so let's go through. Let's see. Storyline, through line, too jumbled. I'm going to get out of 5, right? Okay. Cinematography and storytelling. Okay. Now, telling the story through film, using the angles and the POV and using the natural lighting, some other stage lighting, I'm going to get at a 10. The technical side of it is a 10.
Okay.
Arc of characters, there really is no. He really is the same person. You just discover what's happening through discovery. So I want to give that a 2. There's no gangsterism in this film except for in the flashbacks, and it's something that happens on the grounds, but it's too little, too late. Edits and sound. The editing on it, the non-linear editing, and trying to make you feel feel his emotion and who he is deeply inside. It doesn't work in this film because most people don't want to feel like a stir crazy person that needs some. But anyway, that's a 2. Sound quality, that's a 10. Wardrobe and set design, going from in his illusions and delusion in where he is now, that's a 10, right? Direction, I don't know. I don't think that he pulls Capone, and he doesn't, to me, bring Capone to me. So, but arguably, I'm used to seeing Capone as a strong dude, not after he's done his stint in jail and then he's living out the rest of his life freed because he has syphilis.
Well, only the one scene. There's the one scene with the gold gun.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that that's something, but it's a little,
just like
little
a glimpse.
too late. But the direction on it, that's a 2. Okay. And the actor's skill, I don't see acting skill in this, so I'm gonna get at a 0. So, what would you rate Capone?
Same. I would give the film like a 5. I was like disappointed because okay, that's fine. Okay, so we're showing, the film showed Capone once he was released from prison, dealing with his syphilis, right? So his health was declining. Fine. But it just feels like the story could have been told a lot better.
More meatier.
Yeah,
more
it was kind of just like all over the place.
So I give it a 5 also. That's Capone, Tom Hardy, Capone. Now, people, a tour de force of storytelling, I believe.
Right.
Little fires everywhere. And when they say little fires,
oh my gosh,
everywhere,
I was watching the news today. Like literally
little fires everywhere. Listen, Reese Witherspoon and Kerry Washington go head to head in this tour de force called Little Fires Everywhere. Happening, the plot line and the storyline takes place, and through line takes place in Shaker Heights, Ohio. And we have affinity for Shaker Heights, Ohio, because it is one of the southeast side suburbs of where we grew up our formative years into our adulthood, until we finally moved from Cleveland, Ohio,
to a warmer climate.
To a warmer climate year round. Yes, sir. So look, Little Fires Everywhere tells the story of Shaker Heights. Now, I don't know how favorable the storyline is to the backstory, because they give context to this,
and they give a history of Shaker,
right? And it's not such a favorable look at Shaker, and I wonder what the people in Shaker and the people in Cleveland in general, or the people that's next to Shaker, Cleveland Heights, or coming across Warrensville Heights, Ohio, what they looked at it, or Woodmere, how they looked at how they depicted Shaker Heights, Ohio. Before we do that, let's go through the cast.
Starring Reese Witherspoon, playing Elena Richardson, Kerry Washington, Mia Warren, Lexi Underwood.
Now, Lexi Underwood, right?
Yeah, plays Pearl Warren.
Right.
Yeah.
Lexi is a phenomenal actor. Yeah. There is a scene in it when she discovers something. I said, I looked at Tracy, I said, how is she going to act this? Because this is going to be an actor's choice. Right? And how she acts this, there's only one way to act this, and I was wondering if she was going to bring it like she brought it, and she brung it. That sounds like bring it on. But she brought it the way I expected. It was the only way to bring that when you find out this. Could you call it a betrayal? Could you call it one of the bigger little fires everywhere?
Right.
And when she finds this out about her mother, how does she react when she has the conversation with her mother? She is an excellent actor. She can emote, and she brought it, and she didn't, and she brought it from her diaphragm. She gets a 10 in my book. She is up and coming. She's incredible, and she's one. When you look at her, when I kept looking at her on the screen, and I'm saying, am I looking at? She had the bushy eyebrows and the long nose and the high cheekbone. I said, am I looking at Tupac's daughter? Go ahead with the rest.
Joshua Jackson plays Bill Richardson. Megan Scott plays Izzy Richardson.
Now, Izzy Richardson, played by
Megan Scott.
She is another that brings levels. I call it stepping. When I tell actors, I say, I want you to step up and bring layers to this character. She brings layers to the character that is Izzy, who is battling, having a internal battle and the need for to be understood through her art, because she is realizing that she is what people would consider, because this is a period piece. This is in the 80s, right? We forgot to tell you that. It's in the 80s, and that would be considered what she's feeling as an alternative lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right? Continue on.
Jade Pettyjohn plays Lexi Richardson. She did a really great job too.
Yes, she
did. The sister with the layers.
Yes.
Gavin Lewis played Moody Richardson.
Moody Richardson.
He did great too.
He did great to bring you the subtleness of being a person who wanted to be more open, but you could see would be the one out of the family of siblings that would grow up to be a bigot.
And you said that during the film.
And that's what he gives you, those layers of the person who would grow up out the group to be a bigot. Continue on.
Okay, Jordan Else played Trip Richardson.
Trip Richardson, he also brings forth a layer of a person who is like a jock type, popular in school, the pretty boy type.
Right.
And he, through his sister Izzy, learns, he looks through her eyes at himself and tries to reform himself in the film. Mm-hmm.
Rosemary DeWitt plays best friend Linda McCullough.
Mm-hmm.
Hong Lu plays BB Chow.
Now, BB Chow as a supporting secondary character is what causes it's an ensemble cast, so there's multiple stories, but this is a story that is a through line that affects every character involved outside of the main focal story, which is Reese Witherspoon and who she is as a person, and Kerry Washington's character, who she is as a person, how they come together and knock heads. But this is a through line that ties all of that together and continues it in a infinity circle. Go ahead.
Jesse Williams plays Joe Ryan.
Straight lace guy.
Yeah.
In this, keep going.
Whenever he's from Grey's Anatomy, so Jesse Williams is like what you see, because we talk about different celebrities and people, and
we interviewed him.
Yeah, what you see with him is what you get. He is like such a kind person, straightforward. He's well informed of social issues and just down to earth, right?
Down to earth, yes.
A real cool person.
Real cool person.
Jeff Stoltz plays Mark McCullough. Steve Vontae Hart plays Brian Harlan.
Steve Vontae Hart,
right?
Pivotal character in this. Helps one of the siblings see herself. She's able to look at herself through his eyes, and it helps her. Go ahead.
Jamie Ray Newman, Sarada Chaudhry, Paul Ying, Melanie Nicholas King, Austin Bias, Abba Baba Tunde. You know what? I don't remember seeing him, and we interviewed him.
He's the father.
Oh wow, he's the father. He's another actor who
is down to earth. Who he is what you see is what you get.
He is so kind.
Right.
Yes, and also Tiffany Boone plays the young Mia.
That's right. Tiffany Boone plays the young Mia. Now, people, you have to binge watch this.
Yes.
This is a tour de force. It is. And Reese Witherspoon keeps coming off. She came off of Little Lies, 2 seasons. Big Little Lies. Then she went over to the morning show.
Right. And we reviewed both of those.
Both of those.
Gave them great ratings.
And now she's on here. So her PR and her agent and her manager is getting her the work, and she continues to work. Just like
executive produce,
right? And just like Kerry Washington,
right?
She comes from Spike Lee camp,
right?
Then she does the film The Last King of Scotland,
right? She was great in that film.
Then she comes through, and then she's playing
Olivia Pope.
Right. Then she does American Son. We reviewed that American Son, and then now Little Fires Everywhere, and her acting ability to bring different characters. Even though she played that character of Olivia Pope, so long she is not typecast, and she brings a different nuance to each character that she plays, that she portrays. So you have to watch this. You have to watch. You have to watch it. Let me not shake my head. No. Yes, you have to watch this. Little Fires Everywhere.
Kerry Washington and Reese Witherspoon, they're also executive producers. See, this film,
series.
This series.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's like a
each
film.
one is
but it is
it's filmed.
It's well done.
Well done.
Each episode.
It's like,
and like you said, it's just like layers, and I love stories like that, just like layers. Like the first season of can't think of it now. The first season of with Julia Roberts on Amazon.
Oh, you talking about
Homecoming?
Yeah, Homecoming, yes.
So with Little Fires Everywhere, I love it because it's just like little layers, and literally so many different storylines going on, exactly like Little Fires Everywhere. And it's just so well written, and we don't want to give anything away.
Mm-hmm. And the meaning of it is summed up in the finale episode of Little Fires Everywhere. I said, I don't know how did you take the way they depicted Shaker?
When I like you said, coming from that area, I wasn't in the beginning, when everything was shiny and glossy, the way they introduced the characters, right? Mm-hmm. So for the little girl was mesmerized, and she was just so happy, and to finally have a home, you know, because you'll see from watching the film, they do a lot of traveling. So they finally found a place that they could call home, which was in Shaker Heights. So you get the history of Shaker and like just all of the greatness about living in Shaker and what you're graduating from Shaker, and the world is your oyster because the education is great and you can get into great schools because you graduated from Shaker Heights High School, and it's just shiny and just like positive.
What you find about the girl is that she has the aptitude. Right. Her mother schools her, and she has the aptitude to be there, and she fits right in and gets the grades in this accelerated school system. Right. Go ahead.
So, and that's the one thing her mother made sure that when she went to Cleveland, right? She made sure that her daughter, in the movie they mentioned Red Zone, or but she made sure that her daughter was in a great school system. So you'll see from watching it, as the mother, as they travel the United States, she's very, very cognitive that the school system is an excellent school system. So when her daughter is registering to Shaker, she's so smart, that she tested out of the girl wanted to be in the algebra class, right? They said, no, you need to be in geometry. So they said, okay, we'll take a test and test out. She was so smart, she tested out, and she was able to go into algebra 2 with the juniors, right? She's a freshman. So but as the story moves on, and the shininess of Shaker, it starts to dull.
The varnish goes away.
Yeah, varnish goes away, and it's just dull, and so then it turns like not so positive. Right. Their experience in Shaker isn't like a positive experience.
And then there's a scene when Kerry Washington's character is in the grocery store shopping, and she's listening to a story of Shaker Heights on her headsets, on her Walkman, and it tells there about Shaker, and it tells some interesting things that even us who come from Cleveland, that has been held from you, because we came through in the 90s. We came of age in the late 80s, came to driving in the late 80s, came of age, adulthood in the 90s, right? So Shaker was different, and it appeared to be it appeared to be truly integrated, and you find out through this, but you have to watch it. It's good. The varnish is taken on,
so I'm like, well, who? So I had to look it up. I'm like, who did this story? Now, who is trying to diss Shaker? Let me look this person up. So I looked the person up, and her name is Celeste NG. So she's Asian. I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know if it's Ng but her last name is spelled capital N, lowercase g. And this is based on a novel. She says some of it is based on her life experience growing up in Shaker.
So here it is, an immigrant telling you about Shaker and telling you a tale between a Caucasian and an American. Well, no, her daughter would be first generation American black, but she would be the first moving to America, right? Because she moved with her parents to America from Jamaica. So her daughter will be first generation.
Oh, Kerry Washington's character, right?
Right.
So I know.
Both her parents were
from Jamaica,
right?
But Kerry Washington was she born in America? Her character?
I'm not sure. It's unclear.
Okay.
It's unclear, but either way, her daughter would be full blood American black, right? Because of the connection and the lineage, right?
Right.
Of how she comes into existence. You'll see that all in the story, right?
Yeah.
Story through line, it is a 10.
Yeah.
Cinematography and storytelling through cinematography, 10.
Right.
Arc of characters, the beginning to in the middle to the end of this series, it is a serious 10.
Solid.
Edits and sound,
Right.
that is a 10.
Yes.
Wardrobe and set design based in the 80s, it's a 10, right? Direction,
right.
10. Actor skill, the way that it's the best I've seen Kerry Washington emote in a long time. Because she breaks out of that Olivia Pope. Olivia Pope had a more trying to stay to refined.
Polished.
This woman doesn't have that.
Right.
She's coming and she's bringing it full throttle, and Reese Witherspoon in her own way brings it full throttle.
Right.
She represents Caucasian woman fragility.
Right.
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 And being from money,
right,
not necessarily having to work for it. And so this is the storyline. And then her children then begin to suffer, and they seem to be like people who will start little fires everywhere, kind of like the 7.
Right.
Wrapping it back around.
You know,
it's kind of like the 7 that were picked up for being anarchists in Rochester, New York, right?
You know what? What I can say is they did a great job. Well, other than this one scene, we was like that one little restaurant. We was like, we haven't seen that.
Oh yeah,
at all.
ever. That was a bad representation.
As far as like the homes and the lawns and everything, they did a really great job
of matching
it up with like Shaker,
because they
shot did it in Canada.
Yeah,
right?
They shot it in Quebec,
yeah.
And so you have to match things. Now, the mansions there, they look similar. The one they were in,
it was passable.
It was passable, but like I said, they don't in Shaker. They don't stretch this way. They go back. Right? They go back. They may have boom, but they go back. Here they stretch across. That was cool, and they even had the Shaker sign in it.
Yeah.
And but certain areas that they showed you though, you were like a person that comes from Cleveland, Ohio would notice, say, no, just like that restaurant, that like, drive-through thing.
Where's that?
Nah. But it was just like the 7. Yeah. It was like you would see this grown that's coming from money. The generation before comes from money, and then you get the money, and then you get what they call bored, and you start talking about death to America, and then when you finish, you'll be able to go back and do what you do, right? So people, let's go through this. So what would you rate?
A 10. I mean, because it was just well written. It made sense, right? Unlike Cuties, we were just like, if it had made sense. But Cuties just did not make sense. It was just all over the place. So what I can appreciate about Little Fires Everywhere is that it was just, the script was just beautiful, right? So, I mean, I know it was from a novel, but they did a great job executing it into film. Right. And it was just like layers. I mean, it was just like at the end of every episode, you're like, okay, I got to see what happens next episode.
And we were so glad that we could binge watch it.
Right.
Because I don't know if we could sit and wait
right.
a whole nother way, which you would have to, but we're glad that it's up, and we're glad that a lot of the episodes that come out now on different platforms, they have them there for you to binge watch from the very beginning.
Right.
Right. And that's the way, that's really the way to go. So people, this has been another great, robust.
You know what? Before we say bye,
okay.
I loved how in the film, I loved the open discussion about class, race, another, I don't want to give it away, but then there's another issue that has to do with like adoption and surrogacy, and so it was just it was just well done.
Well done.
In a multicultural cast.
Yeah, so I'll give it a 10.
Yeah.
So this has been another robust, great episode of the Film Review.
Yes.
Hashtag TFR Podcast Live. Yes. Sundays on the Film Review Live channel on YouTube.
Right.
Subscribe now. Click the bell so you will have notifications when we come on. This is a special 4-hour event where we went in depth about Cuties, and we still talked, and we like to thank the people who called up.
Yes.
Mr.
Research and Sapphire.
And Sapphire, who called up, who had a discussion. And we even like who we like to call Mikey, who called up, who really wanted to argue about pedophilia, but we weren't arguing.
Yeah.
And so we can't take me off the
square. It was like kind of going in circles.
All I want is context. All I want is context before we move forward, so people know the rules of engagement of the game.
Right.
So people, you have watched this, go back and watch it again. It's information packed. We review quite a few films.
Right.
Cuties, no. So people, listen. You've been watching TFR Podcast Live. That's hashtag TFR Podcast Live. We are your husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D.
Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, and society. How music and movies reflect the culture and politics in the society on hashtag TFR Podcast Live. We will see you next week on the Film Review. I love this show.
The Film Review, movies, music, culture, politics, society podcast, interviews, movie reviews, and more. Live Sundays at 5:30 p.m. on the Film Review Live channel. Subscribe.
Hi, this is Bernadette Stannis, Thelma from Good Times, and you're watching the Film Review.